Today's guest is from Detroit, Michigan, and went to the University of Idaho as a Vandal, defensive back, kick returner, before heading north to the Calgary Stampeders and the BC Lions of the CFL. He's a two-time Grey Cup champ, and now he is a police officer in Sacramento, California. Welcome to the show, J.R. Ruffin. What's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going? Nothing much, man. I'm over here chilling. How's it going?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just hanging out, enjoying the day, the start of the day. Tomorrow's a holiday here. Is it a holiday there?
I don't really be looking into the holidays like that, but I don't think it is. How's it going?
I don't even.
Go ahead, Nick.
I don't even remember getting kicked out already. I don't even remember U.S. holidays like that because I've been in Canada so long.
And I think that was the problem with me, like, because I've been out here when I was in Canada, like, I didn't even celebrate a lot of holidays. So going with so now when I get to the U.S. holidays, it be I don't even be knowing, and most people don't even be celebrating like that, you know, where I'm at, because if my family's not here, so I don't get to celebrate them. So I don't even look into them and see what they are.
Yeah,
And
that's interesting. Yeah, your birthday just passed last week, huh?
Yeah.
Turned 38. Welcome to the club.
38. Yeah, buddy, I'm in there now.
The 82 club.
Right.
So you were just sitting in the church, right?
Yeah, I was sitting in the church, but I guess because of the COVID stuff, he was saying, like, they don't, you know, they can't allow people. It's against the rules. And I knew that, but the lady wasn't there, so I just went away from it. I said, okay, I'll leave. I didn't want to cause no trouble. So I come to the front of it. You
can't cause trouble. You the police.
Right. That's why I didn't want. That's what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to bring that up. I didn't want to bring that up to him. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's crazy. Like, you think of a situation like that, and somebody says, "Hey, I'm going to call the police," and you're like, "Well, I am the police." Has that ever happened? Right. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, it happened over there. That's how they knew I was the police at one point. And she was like, "Oh, okay. Well, you can work. Well, you can stay here then." So I was like, "Okay, cool." And then she explained to me, you know, why, you know, with the COVID-19 and all the extra stuff. She explained to me all that, and I said, okay, I understand that. I said, well, I got a bunch of hand sanitizer. I got hand sanitizer wipes. I got all that stuff. I was like, so I'm going to disinfect everything because it's just going to be me and my son here. And I said, so that should make everything clear for us, and y'all should know that we're clear. And she said it was okay. So this guy, I didn't know who that guy was. So I was like, yeah, I'll just go. I don't feel like talking to him about it.
Oh, okay. So what does the JR stand for?
The JR came a long time ago when I was like 7 years old. So my first name is Jerron, and my last name is Ruffin. And in Detroit, we got the Police Athletic League. That's where everybody played football, track, basketball, all that stuff, right? So I ran track and played football. So some of them coaches was either police officers or they was teachers. So some of them teachers was happened to be one of my teachers. One of them was my teacher. So he knew I was JR. Everybody called me JR from football because that's where the name came from, because it was my first and last name. I was putting JR on all my papers. I wouldn't put no last name. I just put JR. So the teacher kept putting Ruffin at the end of it. And then that's how it kind of switched to JR Ruffin, because he kept saying, you got to put your last name on your papers, because I figured everybody knew me from JR, so I'd be straight.
So it's Jerron Ruffin.
Right, basically. or as they used to say, Jerron the Rocket Ruffin, you know, because of my speed. So
yeah. Roscoe.
Or that. They used to say that too.
So you used to do a great impression of Roscoe. You still got it?
I don't think I still got it now. I haven't done it in so long. You know what I'm saying? And then my voice kind of matured now, so I don't got it.
I remember the rookie show, man, when you pulled out the Roscoe and everything.
I killed that.
Then you hosted the next couple rookie shows.
Yeah, you know what? That's because at that point I thought I was going to end up being an actor as well. So I used to always work on my impersonations and always work on my stand-up comedy stuff. And I thought that was going to be I thought football was going to get me there, you know, and then the injuries kind of happened. And then, you know, you start leaving stuff alone because you got to focus on rehab and stuff. But yeah, I used to want to be an actor and a comedian, like, you know what I'm saying, my whole life.
Well, you are in California. I mean, anything is possible.
Right.
You meet the right person.
Right.
You meet the right person, anything can happen, man. But when you look back and you think on it, like in those comedy days, how many impersonations did you have, and what was your favorite ones to do?
I think I don't know, because it used to vary by people. So I had a bunch depending on who I met, you know what I'm saying? Because what I would do is meet a person, and if I thought they did, like say for example, somebody did something funny, like say for example, Copeland did something funny, and people thought it was funny, so I would work on his whatever he did. I would work on that over and over until I had it. Like he was like, damn, Nick, goddamn, like you know what I'm saying. So you would just keep working on that voice, imitating. Every time I see him and I hear him talk, I would see how his lips moving and see how he's sounding out words, and I would try to imitate his words. So anytime that thing happened, it'd sound just like him, and that's what I was doing. I thought that was cool. So I had a bunch of I used to have like Coach Higgins. I used to have Coach Burks. I used to have Copeland, of course.
You ever had mine?
Huh?
You ever had mine?
I never got you. I never got you. I wish I would have got Rambo, because Rambo he was funny too. I never got that guy. I never got him. But yeah, I used to have a bunch back then. You know, from people that I met. Like I used to get guys from junior college and stuff, and some of them coaches as well. But yeah,
that's awesome. Because I think back to it, man. In those days, it was so much fun. We were all young. I mean,
yeah.
2006, we were 24.
Right. That was
23, turning 24 during the season, right? So to go back and think about you doing all those impersonations of people, that's pretty talented, man. That takes skill to impersonate people.
Yeah. You know who the best one was? Mark Lick. I can't get it right now because I haven't heard him talk in a while, but I used to get that guy. I used to get him. He used to hate me. He came at the practice one day, was like, Ruffin, if you keep doing this, I'm gonna do something to you, whatever he was saying. Even though I probably would have whooped him, but he was, yeah, he's like, hey, like, what are you doing, man? Come over this way. He just if you keep impersonating me, man, I'm gonna catch you after practice. I'll take your helmet and put it up there with the Phantom. Stuff like that. Like, man, you know, get out of here.
That is MC right there.
Yeah, that boy was so funny, dog. He had me. Yeah, I used to love doing him. He's the one had to, because he was funny. Everybody looked at him as a joke, anyways. And then you know, because the stuff he was doing. So once I got his voice down, that was like the king. That was the main one to go to. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, you hit it pretty good. You hit that pretty good.
I used to have him real good. I used to have him down real good.
I think you should try the Roscoe real quick. I ain't seen it in a while.
I don't think I can do the Roscoe. Like I said, I would have to see it. I would have to, like, if I would have prepped for it yesterday, I could have went over it and got it. But now I didn't hear his voice in so long. I don't even have his voice in my head to get.
Yeah.
Yep.
You had an injury.
Yeah.
You know, we'll talk about your football injuries in a little bit, but when did you have what happened? If you can explain what happened.
From the one that with the Calgary St. Peters?
No, right now that you're going through and coming back from.
Oh, the one I'm coming back from now. I had a situation where we had to basically. It was a guy. They say he was resisting arrest. He was on a bike. He was trying to ride away and get away from the cops. So I guess he had some mental problems, maybe. But kind of find out he was strung out on like meth or some. He probably got a bad batch of drugs or something like that. But anyways, we pull up on him and we see him, and we get to walking towards him. And as we walking towards him, he's backing up. And they said he had like a pole or like a knife or something. They said he had a weapon with him, so we didn't know what he had. So we had to go apprehend him and grab him and do stuff. So at one point, I was one of them ones closer after a little battle to get him. I ended up grabbing him, and as we grabbed him, we took him to the ground. So we was gonna try to hold him until the ambulance came or the fire come, because we knew something was going on with him anyway. Plus, he was pulling out like the prongs from like the taser gun, and he just wouldn't stop. He kept fighting, trying to get away and do stuff. So I was holding him down. As I was holding him down, I had his like leg, like the figure four leg lock. It's like a little technique we learned in the academy to hold somebody. So without his hips, he can't really move. So we took his hips away as I had him on the ground pinned. So, but the thing about police officers is every time something happens, like when they say, hey, be hands-on, or somebody call a code 3 or they do something, everybody runs to it, and people don't really get what's going on. So everybody be wondering, like, why cops be running in there, like, what the heck going on? Is because they don't get why they needed to code 3.
Yeah, they just know it's a code 3.
That's it. So they like,
That's
oh,
understanding
shoot.
right there.
Yeah, so they run over there. They don't know if this guy got a gun, a knife. They don't know what he's doing on the ground. So everybody runs over there to help, but I'm pinning them. You know how you got one knee down and one leg straight for balance?
Yeah.
Well, I had one knee on the ground as I held him. The other leg was off for balance. But as these guys all run up to help and jump in and stuff, one of them trip over somebody else's leg and fall right on my leg sideways.
And broke
so it kind of, broke my ankle and tore my meniscus in my knee.
Damn.
Yeah, buddy.
How long ago was that?
That happened December 26th, 2019.
And day after Christmas.
Yep, day after Christmas. And then I've been, my surgery on my ankle was February 28th. Surgery on my knee was March 18th.
So you just been rehabbing this whole time to get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And,
rehabbing, studying, reading old reports, trying to make sure, you don't forget stuff. And then stuff changes a lot. So like, you get new policies because certain stuff happened. Like say, for example, after that incident, they changed the rule for using this taser. So now you got to go study and stuff and take another class on that. So I've been trying to knock out the classes and all the online classes and make sure I stay fresh on my reports because them reports are every day. So you got to be up on your report, right?
Yeah. Have you ever had to chase someone?
Oh yeah, I chased somebody. I chased two people actually. Didn't go
How long
well
did it take to catch them?
The kid, the little 16-year-old, it took probably like 2 minutes to catch him because he was already 200 yards away. He was across the street.
He was 200 yards away and you caught him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would have got him.
Boy.
And that was a challenge. My partner said he never lost a foot pursuit. He always made it to the suspect first, and he was like he been waiting on me because everybody knew about my track and football background. So when it happened, we probably shouldn't even chase this kid because he was so far away. But he was like, I bet you can't get it from here. And I was like, yeah, I can. And he was like, you can't get it from here. And I was like, I bet you I can. I said, when the traffic, if he's still there when both sides of traffic clear, I'll sprint across that street and I'll go get him. And guy was like, I guess guy wanted to see this one too because he opened up both. It was busy. It was a busy lane, boy. He opened up both lanes, and I took off on that little boy, and I caught him. And I think when he went around that corner, he probably didn't think I was coming as fast as I was because I started off kind of like jogging, and I really wasn't jogging because that was a strategy, but I knew that I needed to warm up my legs first.
Yeah.
So I started off jogging, and I said, when he turned that corner, I'm going to go full speed. So when he turned that corner, he couldn't see me. That's when I went full speed. So he probably was still at his same pace, didn't know I was going to be as fast as I was. And then he turned around, and I was right there. And he tried to run a little bit more, but he knew he wasn't going right in. It was over, and I got him. And then that other guy said that we tackled that we had to take to the ground. He tried to run, and I had sprinted up, and then I sprinted up so fast on him. He just turned around and stopped, and then he just started backing up with his fists up. But yeah, people ain't gonna get too far away. I had one challenge. Another kid wanted to run, and my superior told me not to. But I said, well, let him go, just so I can show him I can get him. Like he's not gonna get far. And my superior was like, nah. He was like, not right now. And I was like, okay. And I said, you lucked up because I was gonna let you go, just so I can go get you. And you know what I'm saying? And they didn't let me do it. You
like the black man tracker. Without the horse, you just go track people down, just run them down.
Just go get them. Yeah, I never stopped training for my speed. Like that was like one thing everybody used to always tell me, like you probably wouldn't be this or that if you didn't have speed. So I just kept working on my speed. If you remember in 2006 when I first got there, they was kind of upset with me because every day after practice I would go over to the track and do my track practice. So I thought I was still going to make the Olympics. I was like, well, I'm gonna go try to make the Olympics in like the 4x4 or the 4x1, like make one of the relay teams. So I just kept training for my speed because I knew I never had a fair shake at track because I always had track and football always came first. So I never could get the speed that I needed to for track because I always had to gain weight or do power lift and stuff for football. But if I hadn't have done that, if you look at like some of my fast track times, like a 10.2 or 10.3, like I was running that stuff with like twisted ankles or being banged up from football. So I could have probably got way faster because that's not a fast track time for like the world class guys. But because then my
after
top
football
times,
and during the season and after the season, that's world class speed though.
Yeah. So I never had it right. So I was always trying my best. Like I'm gonna get in track. I'm gonna get in there, and it just injuries started coming and stuff like that, and it just kept taking me further and further away, and it just was pissing me off. But that was my thing, man. Running was my thing, so I used it for my cop stuff, and it worked like a charm.
Yeah. When do you feel like you're gonna be able to get back to the job?
To be perfectly honest with you, I think I can go back to the job now, but because I still have, when you play football, you play with injury so much, you're immune to it. You're like, I can play with that pain, but the
Yeah.
doctors don't want to hear that pain. They're like, oh, you still got a clicking right here, or you still got this right here, or your ankle's still broken right here. And I'm like, okay, well, I've been doing jumping jacks, or I've been doing double unders, or I've been running 2 or 3 miles. They don't, with pain, they like, yeah, but we don't, I guess they're not pushing for that basically because I got hurt on the job. So I guess they want you to heal up. And because in my head, I'm like, what if I never heal up? What, you want me to stay off the whole time? I got to see what I can do with the pain that I got and how I'm going to manage it. So I can go now, but they're not going to let me go now. I tried to get restrictions lifted and, they just didn't let me, so I got to just wait.
When did you first want to become a cop? Like, is that something you want to do since you were a kid? And you
Yeah.
talked about the people around you earlier when you first started out were cops and teachers and stuff. Was that an influence?
Yes, I even got papers when I was in like the 2nd or 3rd grade when they said, which one be when you grow up? And I put police officer or a football player. And no, I said go to the NFL or police officer. So I had that. I wanted to do this because that PAL league, them guys was always over there. We knew them our whole life. They live around the corner, they around the block, you know them from sports. And they used to always talk like, if you don't do this and don't do that, go be a police officer. It's a good career. It's a good career. So even then you didn't know it, but I always wanted to be one because I thought they was the cool guys. They had the big trucks. They had the nice tires. They like those guys was like, guys that looked out for us. Even when I was getting in trouble a lot, I used to have a problem fighting. And even when I used to get in trouble a lot, them guys was the ones who made sure I didn't get like suspended from school or that I didn't, or that my parents didn't really find out about it. So they would discipline me their own way because they knew I was good in sports. So I just thought that was cool. And I said, one day, if I didn't make it pro in football, I would have wanted to do that for the younger kids too. Because I think looking at a cop as, when you respect a cop, most people look at them as like punks or Sambos or something like that. But when you get one that you respect and he is tough and he is cool and he did play some kind of sport or something like that, you look at him as somebody that you might want to mimic and be like. So I wanted to, since I was a kid, like 7 or 8, I knew I was going to be a cop. It kind of went away, of course. You're going to play football and track and stuff like that. It kind of goes away, and then you go back to visit, and then one of them say, "Hey, you still owe me." Like, "Oh, you what? Like, you had to join that force if you're done playing football." And I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna be a coach." And they're like, "Well, why don't you join the force first and then be a coach?" And I'm like, "All right." So after I left back from Saskatchewan, because I was a guest coach up there 2 years. And then I came back and I was still trying to get into coaching, but then it was kind of hard. And then I was like, I kept thinking about it. I'm like, man, let me go do the football thing. I mean, let me go be the cop thing first. And that probably helped me open more doors because to me, it felt backwards. I was like, if I become a coach, I probably can't be a cop. But if I become a cop, I can be a coach.
Yeah.
So I went that route. So I said, let me finish up my cop stuff first, and then I'll go coach at like a high school or a junior college or something like that.
So you mentioned Sambo, and I mean, I think in the Black community we understand that as like Uncle Tom and House.
Before we say the Uncle Tom thing, people need to understand something about an Uncle Tom is that name was switched.
Yeah.
Because Uncle Tom was really a Black man who was helping out the other Black people to make sure they didn't get in trouble and do stuff. And he wasn't the one that was snitching and doing nothing. That was a Sambo. So when people say Uncle Tom, they don't know the history of what they're saying. They're just following trends of stuff. So the Uncle Tom wasn't the one who was doing the bad stuff. It was Sambo. Uncle Tom was actually the one who was helping and trying to help the slaves out.
Yeah. But you mentioned that Sambo, and you get a lot of flack for being a Black police officer. And does it come from the Black community? Where does it come from?
What's funny? It always comes from the Black community because the white community's not gonna say that to you because it won't hold no weight with them. It only holds weight with a Black person because they always feel that you're selling them out. And and that's what I kind of tell them. I didn't sell you out because I have a career. This is my career. Your career is, I guess, getting in trouble. You know what I'm saying? My career is to stop people from getting in trouble or to protect other people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I didn't sell nobody out. I'm not that because I'm doing this job. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in a lot of right is right, wrong is wrong. If somebody and I had to step in twice and pull another guy away from like off of a suspect or a person of interest or something because they were doing stuff a little hard, or I stepped in and said I got them. You know what I'm saying? I had to do something because I'm not going to let nobody do that, whether they do that to a Black kid or a white kid. It don't matter to me. If you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, then I'm like, the minute another officer say, I'm starting to get mad, or he gets to start yelling and doing stuff, that's when the other officer should step in anyway and say, okay, I got it, bro. Yeah, I got it. You know what I mean? And that's what I did on 2 of my occasions. And I'm fresh on these people who had like 15 to 20 years in. So, you know, like I told one of the officers, well, I might be new to being a police officer. Oh, but I'm still grown. You know what I'm saying? I'm 37 years old. I've been through way more stuff than you probably been through when you were an officer. So, yeah, I'm going to step in because I know to do that. And it kind of like my officer thing kind of came off at that point. It was kind of like, it's people now. Like, wait a minute, bro. You ain't about to be a bully. You know what I'm saying? I got it. So it kind of went like that. So I think that's where I'm a little bit different from other people at. Even when I talk to kids or when I walk up to people, I tell them from the beginning, I say, hey, listen, you know what I'm saying? When these cameras turn off, I'm still a person. So I can talk to you like a person, right? And they say, yeah. And I say, well, from now on, when you get approached by an officer, you just say, hey, am I being detained? And if they say, yeah, then you can ask for what? If they say no, if you don't want to talk, say, I don't want to talk and walk away. It's not a crime to walk away or run away from a cop when you're not being detained. And a lot of people don't even know that. Yeah. They say, I can just run. What if you come chase me? I said, well, then he's wrong. Because he already said you're not being detained. So once they pull you over and walk up to you or do anything and you didn't do nothing, you say, am I being detained? If they say no, you can walk away. You can do what you want to do then because they can't hold you there. And I try and tell them that even when they hit you with open-ended conversations, you need to watch what you say because the words you use can get you detained. You can just say, oh, I came from around the corner, but they know that's a blood area, or a gang area. Now they got you because it's like, okay, you come from over there. Yeah, so you got to be smart. You got to be exactly. So I just try to educate people as being a black because I know the first thing they're gonna do is call me a Sambo. So I try to educate and say, listen, you just met me, I just met you. I don't know if you're a criminal or not. You don't know if I'm an a-hole cop or not. We're gonna give each other a chance though. And they say, okay, cool. And when you start like that, they can't help but to, because they're gonna see I'm a cool person, so they can't help but to give me respect. You know what I'm saying?
I don't see why. See, me personally, I don't see why people would want less black cops. I think we need to have more black cops, right?
Yeah.
And I think that because that's what needs to patrol more of those black areas because you've been in them.
Exactly.
And I believe there's a lot of white cops that are really good cops. And I think there's a lot of cops that maybe have never really been around black people or Mexicans or Asians. And the movies, if all I seen of black people is Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society or any pretty much movie that depicts black people as robbing and, killing and different things like that. And then I hear what my parents said. And now I go into these communities. Yes, I'm frightened.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what's funny about that? I went around, I was in a gang area and a bunch of people was out and they were, doing, however it was going on. And I didn't have a gun out. I didn't have a weapon out. I was talking to these people and this guy's moving his hands and doing all this stuff. And, other officers was, hey, stop moving. Don't do this. Don't do that. And they had their hair in their gun and stuff like that. And they asked me like, was I ready? And I said, well, for who? And they're like, for them people. And I'm like, well, nah. I'm like, he was, I say, black people talk with their hands. Like when they get to talking, they get to moving. I said, so that didn't scare me. And then there was another incident when I was around the Caucasian group and this guy is like moving and he's swerving and doing stuff. And now I got my hand on my weapon and they're like, well, what are you so nervous about? And I'm like, cause that's the difference between me being around blacks my whole life. I haven't been around the Caucasians like that. So to me, I thought he had a knife or something, or he was looking to, to do something because the way he was acting. Yeah, so it can go both ways because I'd be way more comfortable in the black community when they're doing their little stuff, and I was way less comfortable in the white community when he was on his meth and he was moving around. I was like, he gonna do something. I thought he was gonna do something. So it can go both ways. Little do they know. You know what I mean? Because we know how to handle our own people, and just what you said, if it was more black people patrol, not that the white people can't do it, or not that blacks can't patrol the white neighborhoods, but I think because we understand them a little bit more, we're less frightened. A lot of officers be frightened, like, oh, I thought he was gonna do this. Yeah. Black people, we're ready to go hands on, and hands on will eliminate a lot of the gun battles.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? A lot of it.
How much cultural or sensitivity training do you guys get?
We actually get a lot because it's nonstop. every year something changes. Every 6 months something changes. So it's up to that. Once you pass training phase, it's up to that officer to keep going to them classes, though.
Oh, so
I don't know.
it's on your individual merit to go and continue to work your craft, basically, to take the training. Like once you're an officer, you don't have to do it, but it's there for you to do it. Is that what you're saying?
Some things are mandatory, some things are not.
Okay.
So like say for example, some of those classes, the class in general would be mandatory. So you have to do that one class, but it might be 3 or 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
Life is worth more than 3 or 4 hours. So after that 3 or 4 hours, it might be other classes or on the computer learning that you have to do, online learning. And now it's up to you to go do that as well. Now, some of these you can keep going to. They're going to put up more bulletins, more things saying, hey, you guys can come here and go take this course or this class, but it's not mandatory. A lot of people won't take the non-mandatory class. They'll wait for that one class that's mandatory, but the 5 that's not mandatory, they don't take those. They'll take that one, though, because they know we have to do it. So we train all the time, and then we have training available for us at all times. So you can just keep training as much as you want. Like we never stop learning. Never. Just like it's just kind of like the gun range, right? We go to the gun range maybe once a year, but you can go all the time if you want to. But yeah. So it's like that.
So your injury is kind of like the precursor to 2020, right? It was your injury, then Kobe, then COVID, then Floyd.
That's how I went.
There's a lot of things that have happened over the last 7 months.
Yeah.
And just looking at the position you're in, and being a police officer and being a Black police officer, what do you think about everything going on right now with the defund the police, the Black Lives Matter movement, even what's going on in Portland? Like, do you have any thoughts about just how can we move forward? How can we reconcile? What's best in your eyes?
I'll say what's worse. And I think the worst thing is the media and social media and the way people blow stuff up when they don't have the information. If you're not educated on stuff, you shouldn't just be the one leading it. You know what I'm saying? That's like Black Lives Matter being out in the middle of the street, and then somebody who don't even know what Black Lives Matter is about comes up and start cocktailing cars. Everybody else might join them thinking that he knows, but they're following fools, right? Yeah. Some people don't even know what they're standing for, but they're just following because they're looking for an opportunity to do something. So that's the crazy thing to me. The defund the police part. Some people aren't educated with that. They thinking defund the police mean that they're about to take our salaries away or make sure, you know what I'm saying? That's not what defund the police is even talking about. They're saying, since we're not, they shouldn't be funding us just training to do mental health stuff when they can have hospitals come or doctors
social
or somebody
workers.
come talk to you, come do that work, right? Well,
I think Albuquerque's doing that now. They're trying to send social workers out with a police officer to handle certain mental situations.
And that's right. And they said certain because you're gonna have to start breaking it down because it's like, what do you do to somebody who have a mental issue that has a knife out or a gun? Do you really want a social worker to go and he don't have a knife, he don't have a gun, a weapon, and he don't have the training to really fight and control this person? Or do you want to train the police a little bit enough for them to talk this guy down? Because it goes away from training at one point. It turns into being human. You got to be a person with this guy. Listen, bro, what's going on? My girlfriend cheated on me. Your girlfriend cheated on you? That's messed up. Like, you know what I'm saying? And now you got to be a human and talk to this person. Or, oh, my mom died 2 years ago. Well, you know what? My grandma died. I was more close to my grandma than my mom. So I know the feeling, and let's just talk about it. Because some of them want to just vent, right? So sometimes it goes away from training and just being human. And I think people aren't seeing that part of it. They think everything has to do with training, and everything don't have to do with training. You know what I'm saying? It has to be with being human in real life experiences. And I think that's what's going to help. You know what I'm saying? And when we go away from the media and we start doing our own research, we'll understand stuff. Like some of these people, they argue over these people who getting shot and doing stuff. And then every time you see these people moving their hands and doing something, after the officer told you, hey, I'm scared, stop moving your hands. Leave your hands up. Quit putting your hands behind your back or quit doing this. Sometimes people have to stop doing that. Yeah. And, it's crazy that people think they still need to, that they're smarter than police. You know how many penal codes it is? It's like down there 1 million, right? So for you to know one, you know the Fourth Amendment, and you know one penal code, oh, you can't do this. We know 13 other penal codes that matches the one thing you know. So you can't say I can't do this because this penal code says I can, or this city code says I can, this state code says I can, and that's what they don't get. So they try to go off the one thing, or you can't touch me, or you can't do this, and they overdoing it because they saw somebody else do it. They see it on TV. You don't have to get your ID, you don't have to get your license. Well, yes, you do. And I think that's the problem. People are not educated, and they just keep trying to go against, like what they don't know, and that's very, very bad.
Should we put that in schooling? Should we put that like an education of state laws, city laws, and then have like community relations in that as well?
Yeah.
Because it's better if both sides are just as educated, and it's better. It makes it a lot easier for both sides.
When we was talking earlier, I was like, that was my plan when I became a police officer. I wanted to teach the youth and stuff. So that's what, when I'm done with my training, I'm off probation, I'm done with my part of it. I wanted to get a program where I go to the churches and stuff, and they have a certain day where everybody come down there and I educate them on police encounters, because it can save lives. And it'd be way better if both sides know. If they say, oh yeah, he was, if the police officer say, hey, let me talk to you for a minute, and the guy say, no, you can't talk to me because penal code this says, you can't do this. If you don't have the probable cause or reasonable suspicion to do something, you can't do this. And that cop will know that he knows his stuff, and they'll probably, the bad cops, and they'll be like, dang, well, okay, you're absolutely right. Well, can I talk to you? And the guy say no. And the officer will say, okay, sir, have a good day. Because you ever seen on the internet where an officer would be talking to a person, and it seemed like that officer trying to trick this person to saying something, and then another person to come and say, "Hey man, he can't do this. Where's your parent at? He can't ask." And then the officer be like, "Okay, you guys have a good day," and leave.
Yep.
That's because that guy didn't know, but the other guy did know. You see what I'm saying? So if they start putting that in the schools, at least just the encounters, just to start off, because that's bigger than anything. The encounter, like how you happen when they first approach you, that's more important than anything else. And if they start at least putting that in there and understanding your rights for that, it'll make it that much better.
When you talk about earlier, you said you've stepped in on two occasions. Mm-hmm. When a guy gets upset or something like that to try to de-escalate the situation. How hard is it for younger cops to do that? And did football, being a professional athlete or having the confidence and just, living a different life before you became a cop, you're an accomplished person, right? So it wasn't like you're just a 20-year-old or 22-year-old becoming a police officer with somebody that's been there for 15 years.
Right.
Like, what does it take for younger officers to have a voice? Because I've often said, I feel like a lot of cops protect the shield more than they protect the people, right?
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They haven't spoken out about bad cops because they're protecting the shield.
Yeah. You seen that movie had like Terrence Howard, Ludacris, and it was like 5 or 6 different stories in one?
Yeah. Back in the day, with the Shandy Newton was in it, and she got in the wreck.
Yeah, and the white cop felt on her and did something, and the other cop was standing there. All right. Do you remember when that cop, when that young rookie cop went to that lieutenant or something and tried to tell? He looked at him. He looked down on him like, what? No, he's a good cop. He's been here for 20 years. That's what people worry about, and that's what I didn't worry about, because I did see that movie, and I said I would never be like that. I said because I wasn't scared. You know what I mean? And it's about being scared to lose your job. And you said something earlier. You said I was successful before that. I actually said that to a cop. I said I had 2
Crash.
I said I got Crash. That's what it was. It was Crash. I said I got 2 college degrees, and I have other stuff going on. So even if I wasn't in this profession, I'll go back and I'm gonna be successful regardless. So I'm not gonna sit there and let somebody do something that I was trained in the academy not to let happen. They already told me in my police academy, don't be afraid to step in. And we watched that movie Crash in the police academy for a training course, and I was the one who was raising my hand like, that's the thing we're worried about. We're worried about going to the lieutenant or the captain saying like, hey, this guy is racist, or this guy's using his use of force is crazy, or he's doing this, doing that, and then them firing us because we're new. And I'm like, that's what we worry about. And they told us in that police academy, don't be scared of that. We're changing from those days. Don't be scared of that. We got body-worn cameras. We got stuff. So go do it. So when I stepped in, I was a little nervous at first that it would go higher. But that same officer talked to me on the side like, yeah, because I was getting hot-headed at that time. Thanks for stepping in. So it didn't even go no further. You know what I'm saying? And the other time, it didn't go no further either. He didn't come to me and say nothing about it, but he knew what I was doing, so he stepped back. But at both of them cases, the guys were flipping off at him, talking about him, threatening them, doing stuff. So they damn near would have been justified in if they would have gotten into a scrap with these people or did something. But I just avoided the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? I avoided the whole thing. You don't need to be a tough guy in front of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody know I'm like in my police academy, they saw me fight. They know what I was up. They know what I can do. So it seemed like, or I was a professional athlete as well. So sometimes you would think people would think they got something to prove against you. You know, they want to show you that, you know, they're tough too because they hear stories about me. Don't worry about me. You know what I'm saying? You have to just go out there and do the job and do it correctly. And that's all you need to do. I'm going to step in all the time, and I expect somebody to step in if it's me. If I'm getting hot-headed, somebody's talking about my mama, I don't know, threatening my kids, who knows? And I might say something back, or, you know, you get hot, you know, never know, you start seeing red. Somebody step in and stop me too. I shouldn't get mad at you for stepping in because we was trained to do that, and we was trained to know that. So if I see somebody doing that, I know what they're doing.
Because he's protecting you.
Yeah, that's it. He's protecting me. And not only me, he's protecting the badge.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because one bad apple will spoil a bunch, as we see. You know what I'm saying?
10%. 10%, so it will be the loudest.
That's it. So that's what that's what I be trying to protect too. Because I know if I'm there with them and I'm letting them do it, I'm just as much as a problem as anybody else.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna let you hit a 16-year-old or slam down a lady or do something like that while I'm right there. But I'm like, why he didn't do nothing? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, dang, I'm right there. And it ain't gonna be on my clock. You have to do it on somebody else's clock.
I have a few friends and ex-teammates that are cops. BD went to college with him, Brian Davis, Larnell Senegal. You know, RJ Franklin's a police officer now.
Yep, he is. Yeah.
Yourself. Did you ever do a ride along with Will Johnson when you were in Calgary?
No, I didn't get to do one. That's one person who they was trying to later on, I was trying to connect with him and see if he can either set me up one or get one, but I never got a chance to get one when I was done playing football up there in like 2010 or 11 or something. I was trying to find out who this guy was, but I didn't get a chance to do it.
Yeah, Will's a big dude, man. He played DN.
Yeah.
He's tied with Charleston for the most sacks in Stampeder history.
Oh, yeah, he was killing it. You know, yeah. Carpenter's a sheriff.
Is he? I didn't know that. Yeah. Where at? Yeah. South Carolina?
No, I don't think he's out there. Is he out? Is he back? No, I thought he was in Georgia somewhere.
Okay.
Texas or Georgia. But yeah, Carpenter, he's a sheriff. Yep. I had talked to him a couple of times.
Yep. That's awesome. I need to hit him up and get him on. What's your favorite part of being a cop?
I got like two favorite parts. I guess the one favorite part would be hanging around with everybody, like you know, seeing people that you went to the academy with, like being around everybody because you went through so much. It's like training camp, so you like being around. You like being around that group. And I think the other time is when you get to interact with them dango elementary school kids. Cause they so funny. You know, they so funny. They gonna talk smack. They gonna say stuff, and then they gonna play sports with you. But it's all in good fun, and they like it. And I think that's the best because it takes me back because I'm like, damn, I remember when them cops was there and I was this little guy in elementary school. So I think that's real fun to me. I like that the most. What's the worst part? The worst part is probably me personally when you see somebody you know they went down the wrong, like you know they never had a chance. They like you be like you go to somebody's house and you go in the house and you see the house is terrible, is bad. They running over their parents, and then in your head you're like, man, this kid gonna be in jail. And then like a month or two later, you go to the house and this kid getting taken to jail, and it was nothing you can really do to help. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or like you're trying to help, and then the minute you try to help, their parent or somebody intervene and make you look like the bad guy when this kid is clearly running over you and don't have no guidance or nothing. And then because you just start saying like, because you know once you get that record, it stays with you for life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I had stuff on my record. You know what I'm saying? And it almost cost me being a police officer. So you try to help these kids, but that'd be the worst thing when you see somebody like just like, because you know anybody can say dead bodies and murders and stuff like that. Yeah. But what about when that life is lost and they're just kids? You know what I'm saying? Like they did something stupid like that. That's why me personally, I think it's more important that if I can get into like a department where I can go help out with them gangs and stuff, but the younger generation, not the older ones, because you know they're already grown. But if you can catch them kids and they're 8 or 9 and they're falling behind their big cousins or brothers because they're in a gang, if you can change their lives, you know what I'm saying? Like that's when it becomes sad. You be like, dang, he could have been good in football, track, basketball, something like that. and now he just lost. You know what I mean? Just lost.
Yeah. And I've said lately over the last couple of months, I said I think police officers and teachers should be paid more. But I think there should be stricter guidelines, and they should be weeded out the bad at a higher rate. But for some, it's just like some schools, you're just looking for teachers. You need teachers.
Right.
And, there's some places you just need police officers.
Right.
So the standard is always not just one set standard all the time, right?
Yeah. But you know what though? This is a standard that I think is kind of messed up, and they need to get rid of it. What they do with the police officers is, this is their weeding out process. Sometimes they weed you out by they look at you and they go back to criminal records. Like, have you been arrested? Do you got criminal records? Have you had, you got any points taken from your license? Because it kind of show that you're not, I don't know, accountable, or that you didn't take care of business or whatever.
So it's like Social Security almost, or so.
Kind of, and I think that's bull crap because because some people didn't. I mean, you look at me and somebody who got in trouble as a youth. You know what I'm saying? And not because I didn't come from a broken home. People can think I did. But my dad was an engineer. My mom and dad was married my whole life. You know what I'm saying? And I came from a family of like 11 kids. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't come from a broken home. We always had stuff. We didn't go out and steal cars and clothes because we needed to. We did it because we was kids, and kids was being kids. And people don't like this. People don't like to say that you was a kid and now this is 20 years later and that you're different. We are different than we were 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So don't think that I'm the same person I was when I was 16, 17, or maybe 21 years old when I got some cases going on. I'm a totally different person from those things, and people don't get that. And they try to act like they do, but they don't. They don't give you the opportunity. And I remember I didn't get into like 18 different places before I got into here. And I got into Sacramento. A black guy was like, man, that stuff shouldn't hold you back. I talk to our background to, talk to people and figure out something. We would try to get you in here. Like, that shouldn't be. He was in for like 20 years. He played professional baseball before. He's like, that shouldn't hold you back. You know what I'm saying? You haven't done nothing in this long, and you've been doing this. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna have to find out different ways to weed people out, because it's gonna be hard. Because some people who doing the stuff, they're the ones who didn't have like nothing. They didn't have no background. That's why they're in there. You see what I'm saying? So it's hard to weed them out. And the reason that they get into the trouble that they got into is because they've never been into no trouble. I believe that when you got into some fights, when you get into some stuff, them the ones who don't black out as much. You know what I'm saying? Because we used to fighting. We're the ones who not so scared. Some of these are, remember that black guy that was in Wendy's drive-thru?
100%. Yeah, in Georgia.
He took that. When they got him on the ground, they got one hand on him and they're reaching for something. They're trying to grab a tool, right?
Yep.
If they would have just had both hands on him, they could have restrained him and held him down, and his life would have been saved. But instead, they're reaching for tools. Only to me, they're reaching for tools, and that's making him be able to move because he only got one hand on him. So now he's taking your weapons because he's scared you're gonna use them on him, and now he's running away, and then you shoot him because he has the taser. Well, if both of y'all would have just grabbed him with both hands, you wouldn't even have to worry about that. But did y'all ever wrestle in high school? Did y'all ever wrestle with your cousins or friends? Do y'all even know? You know what I'm saying? Like, what did you learn in the academy? Because you wasn't holding him.
And if he's intoxicated like that and drunk, and you just woke him up in the drive-through window, right? So it's like he's not physically capable of doing the things to get out if you have two hands on. I understand that.
Yeah, and that's what I believe, and so it's just crazy. A lot of people, some people see it my way, some people don't, but I just look at it from a standpoint of what happened to me before. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I say I can hold somebody down with two hands way better than I can hold somebody down with one. Yeah. It just I don't know. It sounds simple to me. Like, you can hold somebody with two hands better than one. Oh, but he was reaching, right? Well, you would never be able to grab him with your other hand if you got one hand trying to grab a weapon. Yeah. Like, come on, bro. So I think that always do it for me. I look at stuff like that.
You talked about like the academies, like training camp. Is there any other similarities going to work for the PD and being a professional athlete?
Yeah, having your person's back. You always got your partner's back. You know what I'm saying? They have a game plan before every day. You study. It'll come up on a list. You guys got this area, this stuff's going on. Just like going over film and saying like, yo, hey, Nick, make sure when you're on this side, you're going to have Corey Banks. Opposed to you on this side, you're going to have Ryan Phillips, stuff like that. So it's like that with us, too. We look at it. We go in there. They give us a game plan of what neighborhood we're going to be patrolling. And what's going on over there, what's the highs, the lows over there, what to watch out for. And that's what we, so we get it like that. And then you got your partner with you that you could be with all day. Like me, I used to hang with the DBs all day. So I had DB partners. So out here, you got people that you that's in your beat all the time. So you hang with them all the time, or you see them all the time. So you just got their back all the time. And that's the more similarity, like the camaraderie of it. You know what I'm saying? You see them every day. You got locker room. You got weight room workouts. They got a football team, actually. They got all that stuff. So it's, just seeing people all the time and connecting with them. And that's the similarity to it.
Yeah.
Working together. It's like it's teamwork, full-time teamwork, though.
Our starting safety in college, BD, when I talked about earlier, Brian Davis, he was on the Dallas Police Department football team.
Yeah. So, I was going to play on ours, but I was in training, so I'll probably wait for next year or something.
Oh, man, you better stop. Well, let's talk about, like, growing up in Detroit. You talk about a little bit about your childhood, getting in trouble, like, doing those things. How was growing up in Detroit, and, like, what was the environment like around you when you were a kid? I know you said your dad was an engineer, so you had a good family, stable family life. But what was the environment around you like, and what led you to doing some of the things that you were doing?
Competition. I think my environment was very competitive. Like my neighborhood, we battled with everything, whether it was boxing, wrestling, football, basketball, running. We had that, and I didn't go far from it because my dad or my granddad boxed in the Air Force. My dad was in the Air Force, and all my dad and his cousins and brothers did was fought and wrestled. So it came down to us. So when it came down to us, now when it's time for the neighborhood, it was like, oh shoot. So we started getting our friends to box and wrestle and do stuff, and then we didn't want to be. We don't want to be like the softest people in the neighborhood. We wanted to be tougher. So we would go to other neighborhoods. We're going to be tougher in this neighborhood, that neighborhood. But they had the same thoughts on us. So it was going like that. And so it was just very competitive. So even when it came to like taking bikes or doing something, it was like, oh, they came over here and took our bikes. We're going to go over there and take their bikes. Oh, they came over here and stole the car. We'll go over there and steal the car, or, clothes or something like that. It just came competitive. Like we were doing stuff because just kids was doing it. If they did it, we was gonna try and do it at a higher level than them. It was one of them situations where it was like whatever you're doing, be the best at it. It was kind of like that. So I knew I was gonna be one of the best wrestlers and boxers. So anybody from my neighborhood who I grew up with, even when my best friend Jermaine came out to Calgary, it was people ask him sometime like, yo, was JR always like he was? You know what I'm saying? He said he had multiple people come to ask like, why was I amped up like that? And Jermaine like, he nigga been like that since I met him. You see what I'm saying? And,
how is Jermaine doing?
Jermaine's doing good. He's a supervisor at Chrysler, high level, awesome. Higher level than I was when I was there.
Tell him I said, what's up?
I'm gonna tell that fool. But yeah, it was just very, it was just very competitive. You know what I'm saying? So everything I did it. I tried to compete with it, and that's how I was growing up, and that's how my area was. And then the area started. It had we was a typical area where like the guys who was doing the older guys who was doing like the wrong stuff, they didn't want their athletes doing that stuff all the time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They were like, you better get in the house or you better get to practice. So I actually had that. And that was good for me, even though we were still doing stuff, you just got to stay away from them now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They was like the hood. There was the gangster police. You know what I'm saying? You had to be like, hey, don't go around the corner because E-Dub over there. You know what I'm saying? He don't want to see us out here after the street, like, stuff like that. Yeah. Or we were shooting dice. Like, you don't want to be shooting dice around them because he'll come take your money. He tell you to go home. So it was like that. We didn't want to get in trouble in front of them, and then we didn't want to let them guys down either. Because we knew they had high hopes for us. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't want to let them guys down. They're like, man, you better go out there and go to track practice. What's your grades looking like? And they'll beat you up right there. You know what I'm saying? Not in the face of them, but they'll punch you in the arm or in the leg and go see you home sore.
They don't want you to go through what they're going through.
Yeah,
and they know you can get out.
They want, and they also probably had their hands out like, soon as you go make it pro, they want a Rolex. But that's understandable, right?
You got to come back to your hood, baby.
Yeah, you got to come back. So you know what I'm saying? That's how it was. That was my area, though.
What was your favorite sport growing up? Like
track and field. Yeah, but you get called gay when you walk around with little tights on and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so I was embarrassed. Yeah, right. Clearly, right. So I was embarrassed about that jump. So I had to try and stay away from people. So I would go to track practice with like baggy clothes on. And then when I come home, I put all that stuff back on, whether it was sweated out or not. I put it on so nobody see me walking with them tights on and stuff like that, compression shorts, and be laughing at you. But it was track and football. Track was first, football was second. I had been running track for longer because a guy across the street from me, a guy who grew up down the street from me, Coach Chris, he had made it to the Olympics, and he was like one of the fastest guys in the state of Michigan. Like, you know what I'm saying, he made it pro. And then we had Darnell Hall. He also made it to the Olympics, 96 Olympics with Michael Johnson, won the gold medal in the 4x4. So we had them guys at my high school, and I grew up training under them. So I've been running track for a while. I wanted to go to the Olympics just like them too.
Would you think you're better 100, 200, 400? Where do you think you was best at?
Growing up, it always been like the 60 and the 1 up until I got to like Idaho. And then I think Idaho I turned into like 2 and 4 because I think they found that my legs was longer. Yeah. And so my start, so the quick start wasn't better for me because it was making me take short steps. That was good for the 40 and the 60, but it wasn't good for the 1 and the 2 because them little short steps run out. But in the 2 and the 4, I can run faster. So I think as I got older, it turned into like the 2 and the 4. But growing up, it was always like me from like the 20 or 30, whatever they want to race up until like the 100 or 200. I was getting busy. I wasn't gonna lose to no football player. I might lose to a track runner, but I ain't gonna lose to no football player.
Were you born with it, or did you develop it through that hard work with those guys you just spoke of? Did you develop that speed, or were you always pretty gifted with speed?
If Coach Chris had always had speed, he said I just didn't have no he said I didn't have no
technique.
I didn't have no sight for it. You know, I didn't know about form. I didn't know about this. You could just run. And I'm like, oh, so that's why he had me in it from a young age. He was like, I saw you. He saw me running from a person, actually. He saw me running from like one of them like 20-year-old guys one time. They said something to me. I probably said something to him, like suck my dick, something, you know what I'm saying, called him a name and took off running. And they was chasing me. I was probably like 6 or 7 years old, up the block. And he saw me running from these guys. And he like, I'm going to get him on the track. So he started taking me to track practice, taking me to places. But yeah, he said I didn't have no direction with my running. I was just running. And, you know, where I was at, they didn't teach us form. They didn't teach us like ladder drill and like we had tires, but it wasn't like a lot of form stuff growing up because he said it would have took us away from our speed. Since we had natural speed, they just wanted to get our legs and stuff stronger and our wind build up. He didn't want to start working on knee up, toe up, arm swing to go to here, to the pocket, to the eye. He didn't want to work on all that because it would have been too much. So I learned that as I got to Junior Olympics and like junior college. But track was my thing though. That was my favorite sport. It still is, you know, because it can make you like one of the better athletes in any sport you play almost.
Yeah. Now a lot of college coaches don't really want to recruit you unless you run track.
Yeah, they'd be like, dang, he fast. And once you show you can do something, once you show you can run, they start looking for positions for you. Like, hold on, wait, let's see what we can put them at. You know
like Alito, where I train kids at, or I've trained kids there for a long time. They put their linebackers in the 400. And they tell kids, like, running track is not even about winning. It's about competing.
Right. It's about competing.
It's about competing, going out and doing your best. And you see these linebackers out here running the open quarter.
Yeah.
Right? How much better are they going to be to go to college? You got these 6'3", 220s. You know, you see everybody they lined up against. They're just kids that are kind of skinnier in a frame. Right. They're running these quarters. But they're out there competing because – they're not even worried about what time they run, really. I mean, they want to run a good time, but it's more about how fast can I get around this? How can I push myself to be better?
Yeah.
And I think it's just such a great mentality and what track can really teach you on – because track is hard. Like, you think about sports, like I had good hands. I didn't have to be fast. Like, I could run good routes. I didn't have to do this. Mm-hmm. You know, some people like, oh, I don't got to block. I can do this. But track, it's only running. And if you're not fast, it's hard.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Track sucks. You know, nobody wants to go on the track and get blew out every day.
Yeah, exactly. So you better be training. And that's one thing that separated track from football was that track, you really had to be an individual. You had to, because everybody gonna see it. See, in football, you can stand out. You don't have to stand out in football. You can just be on the team. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And then when your time comes, you end up doing something. It's okay, he did something. But in track, you have to be that person all the time because you ain't even gonna make the you know what I'm saying? Everybody know what the slow heat says. Everybody know if you ain't in heat 1 or 2 or however they got it lined up, they know what you are. So you out there getting dusted and doing stuff. People you're gonna get pointed out. And in football, it don't be like that. You can be sitting out there and you can be Joey Bose, you know what I'm saying? They like, you know what I mean? And you on the team, you might be on a championship team, but you really ain't that good as you think you are. You just out here. You know what I'm saying? You fit in, but you're not good. And that's different from track. Can you imagine if track was like the CFL? Like, you know how sometimes in the CFL they give a person 4 or 5 years to get good before
Yeah.
they get good. But if you American, you get cut that same year.
Yeah.
If it was like that in track, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you no, they gonna, you get
He gonna be
exposed
fast in a
ASAP.
couple years. Like,
Yeah, like he gonna
how many needles he gonna need?
Exactly. You give me 3 or 4 years, he'd be just like Andrew Harris. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, it took you played junior ball 2 years and you didn't play, you know, like it took you 4 years to be good. Now you good. You act like you the hottest thing out there. You'd have been cut if you was American. Like, that's how, you know what I'm saying, with track, like if you give somebody some time to make the Olympics, like, listen, bro, like just give me a sponsorship, give me some money. We're gonna train him for 4 years, and in 4 years, you're gonna be the best. Like, man, you give somebody that opportunity, everybody be great.
Yeah. What was the recruiting process like for you in high school?
In high school, I was more recruited for track. Eastern Michigan was looking at me for track. Football I was still one of the better people on my team, but I wasn't big at all. I was 5'9", 5'8", 148 or something, and I could just run. You already know I couldn't catch that guy. I got little hands and shit. So
You got little feet. You still wear size 8?
Then I wore a size 6.5, 7. Now I wear a size 8. But I would catch that ball and I'd take off running. They was like, well, he don't got moves, but he got, like, I had that 1-2 and I can take off. So they're like, he didn't have moves. He just go when he go. And so I was strictly going for more track. And then I had a guy named Justin Saylor who was like ranked number 1 at the time going into our senior year, but he got hurt. But Michigan wanted him. And Michigan was like, well, we got to figure out a way to do something with this guy. So they wanted to send him to junior college. So his junior college, he was supposed to go. He went to Citrus, and they sent some film over there with him. But on that film, it happened to have me on it. And on that, and it showed me return I think I was at tailback one time, and I took that first play of the game. I took it like 60. They showed one of the times, I think he had caught an interception and took off running, and I like caught him and passed him up to go try to help block. It was some stuff. They saw me on some film and was like, who? Like, where he at? At the time I was in jail. It was like, let's see if we can get him out here. So they talked to my dad. My dad was like, yeah, you going out there. And so they when I got home and stuff, I didn't get to go to prom or nothing because I told you I was in trouble a lot. So my dad was like, yeah, you going to California. You're going to go ahead and go out there. So I went out there and I went to Citrus. And that changed my life around. So I didn't get too much recruited out of there, but I did turn myself into being like one of the number 1 players in California JUCO football when I left out. You know what I'm saying? And I was one of the only players to have 5 stars. But again, I got into some trouble and I had to stay that extra year. So I couldn't go to Nebraska and I had to go to Idaho. But I was going to go to Nebraska and I ended up having to go to Idaho. And but yeah, I turned my whole little life around, you know, as far as football goes and my skill set. Because in California, I always say all the best athletes are in Texas, California, and Florida. And I say, well, that's why they brought me out here then. You know what I'm saying? I said that. And when I ran that people don't know, I ran a 4.1 one time on the track with my track spikes. And them coaches was looking at me funny too, like, oh, he another one of them Detroit guys, Detroit's for basketball. He just out here just to be out here. When I ran that 4.1 on that track, they start reevaluating everything. Like, wait a minute, we're gonna see if you can do something. And so I started making myself better. They saw the same thing I was doing at Calgary when I was going to go run track every day after practice. I started doing that up there too. That's where it started at. I was like, let me go run track. Let me go work on my stuff. I knew they wanted my speed, so I just worked on my speed all day. I didn't try to gain no weight. I already didn't eat meat, so I'm 140 pounds, 50 pounds, and I just worked on track. So I knew for one thing I was going to be fast. So They put me at receiver. They put me at DB. They put me at kick return. Wherever you put me at, if I had a chance to catch the ball and do something, you was going to be like, okay, he can run. And that's what I did. I just started we'd be doing one-on-ones, and I'll be at DB, and I'll play real close because, I didn't like zone. I always played man, but that was why. Because I felt that if I played super close up on you, everybody going to think let's throw a jump ball. And cool, because now they just want to see us run, and they going to see me run. So everybody kept trying to throw bombs on me, and the coaches just see me running to that ball, and I was knocking down everything. Notice I didn't say picking off. I was knocking down everything. I made a name for myself for breaking up. I was a breakup king. I'll break up everything. Even if it hit my hands, I'd knock it down because I knew I wasn't about to catch it. So, yeah, and then kick returns. Did you ever notice I was always – they didn't really want me on punt return too much. They want me on kick return, though. I can catch kick return, but the punt returns.
You took one back that you dropped.
Yeah, I did that. Like that was the thing. I wanted everything to hit the ground first, because I learned that when it hit the. But look though, when it hit the ground first, it messes up people's lanes. they think the ball is going to be bounced around, so they get out their lane. So now when I pick it up, I can use my speed because I was the best at kick return in the CFL. If I never got hurt, I probably would have broke more records. Like I was number 2 on the stamps list. I was number 1 that season. I had the highest average. You know, at one point they added 10. It was supposed to be 53, but they put 63 because some of the reverses I gave to Marcus and West Case, they counted that because I caught it. But I would have been averaging like 30 plus every return, and I went for like 1460, and I had to miss, and I gave a couple of my returns up. So they that was my thing, catching the ball and running. But they didn't want me to do punt return unless it was super deep because they knew if I muffed it or something, I still had space to pick it up and run. So I was killing at that. That was my thing. I said I got my speed. I knew I could play man to man because I was gonna press everybody, even though I got cussed out.
You could run with everybody.
But I was gonna run with everybody. So I remember I was getting cussed out at practice one day, back Copeland and them, because they like, can you hear me? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you good.
Because I was talking smack about going against like Tucker and Mookie Mitchell and people like that. And he like, dog, they're going to pick on you. You know, you're a rookie, I say, dog, they run like a 4.6, 4.5. You think I'm worried about somebody that run a 4.6 or a 4.5? And he talking about G. Roy Simon. I'm like, I'm not worried about nothing. You know, like that's what they end up being good, and they were real good. But my way of training, the way my mind was set, it didn't matter. Only thing mattered was that I knew what I can do. I didn't even have to see them play to know about them. I knew what I was going to do. I knew if I pressed somebody, nobody was going to be a better athlete than me than just beat me. You know what I'm saying? You had to be real good and fast, and I didn't see that happen.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, buddy.
So your fastest 40 time was 4.1?
That was on the track. On the when I came to the Calgary Stampeders in 2006, I don't know if you was there when we had to go to that stadium where the bobsled team was at and stuff.
Yeah.
Remember? Because they was doing the field. I ran a 4.25 and a 4.26 on grass with my cleats on. That was with Coach Burke and Dickinson and all them people out there watching and stuff. So that was that day. That was my fastest 40 ever on grass. Now, people always talk about fully automatic and hand time this and that and not all this stuff. What's really fully automatic? What's really legit? What's really not? Who really knows? But just to be able to run that fast anyway on anybody's clock, multiple clocks.
But you're a 10-2 guy, so you run 10-200. Like you definitely got to be down there in the 4.2s, mid to low 4.2s. You're not running the 10-2 and then going back like that. Like that's what
I try to tell people.
What's the fastest 200 time?
My fastest was a 20.98.
20.9, and then what about open quarter?
The open quarter, I think my fastest was like a 46.8 or something, a 46.9. It was just, I got a 46. It wasn't a 47, so it was close to it, but I got the 46, so I can claim that. Spokane, Washington meet. So
when you're running track in college, was there ever a point where you're just like, look, if I just take this serious, you were just so dead set on being a professional football player. Why is that?
Actually, no. Yes and no. I was, but it was. If you look at my stacks in Idaho, it's gonna say he played 5 games his junior year. So I got kicked off the team my junior year. So when I got kicked off the team, I was like, it's over for football. I better enter the draft now because I'm running these fast 40 times and stuff. I better enter now and figure this out. So I was suspended. I started running track more. That's when I started getting way faster in like the quarter, and that's when I knew then that I could do something different. I was like, it ain't gonna just be football because I might not even play football no more because I'm in too much trouble. And so I came back my senior year, and then they allowed me. We had new coaching staff, and when I got the new coaching staff, they the ones allowed me to get back on the team and show what I can do. But during that time, I had made a vow to myself. I said, I'm not going to lose to a football player. You're going to have to be a track athlete to beat me. I'm not losing to a football player. So that's when I knew that I can be, more of a track guy because I thought I had to. I was like, it ain't going to be no more football.
Yeah. Man, when you used to play with the armband on and the bandana.
Oh, yeah.
Like Prime.
Yeah.
Was that your favorite athlete growing up?
Yeah, I wanted to I always thought Deion Sanders I didn't want to be like him as a player, but I liked his swag, so where he carried himself. So that's what I liked about him. So yeah, I used to love that. So I threw that thing on. Thought I was crying for a minute.
So coming out of Idaho, you were running fast 40 times. You had the track times that they probably knew about.
Say that one more time.
I said coming out of Idaho, you had the fast 40 times.
Oh yeah.
There's the babies. And no, you good. And you had the fast 40 times, and you had the track speed.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get any NFL looks coming out of Idaho?
Yep, I got some NFL looks. I had stay over there, Devin. Coming out of Idaho, I had the coach. I had Arizona, and there was the two top ones, the coach in Arizona. That's why I thought I was going to Arizona. They actually called me probably like 5 or 6 times the day of the draft, the day before the draft, because it was second round. And I mean second day. And they called me a bunch of times that first day.
Yeah.
And then when the second day came, they didn't call no more. They called me about no, I'm lying. They called one time about it was like supposed to be like the 25th or 26th pick of the 5th round. They called me about under 10 picks before that, and they never called again. And I never knew why. And when I got to the CFL, I met Cedric Williams.
Yep.
And he was like, hey, get this agent, my agent this, my agent that, he's popular, this and that. So I got his agent. His agent asked me the same question, who was looking at you out of college? I told him. Then he went and talked to some of them teams and started finding out the information. And then that's when he started finding out that, they said I had character issues.
That's what do it. That's what does it.
Dang old coach. And then I found out about 2 or 3 months ago, I talked to a player I haven't talked to since college. His name was Rob Bryant. He went to the Jets. He was telling me that, yeah, coaches do that. He said, because I've been mad at this coach for a while. When I saw him, I was like, when I see him, it's going to be some smoke. And he was like, yeah, but that coach has to tell all your good attributes and all your bad attributes.
Yeah.
He said, so you probably didn't know that. And I said, oh, okay. But the reason I didn't know is because that same coach went and told a girl that went to college to play basketball with us all the bad stuff. Like, she said, well, what happened with JR? Because he's in the CFL doing good, but, why didn't he go to the NFL? What happened? And he told her all the bad stuff. They didn't like his character, his attitude, all the fights that JR got into and, how he carried himself. They didn't like that. And I couldn't not tell them that because it'd give me a bad name when somebody else wants to go and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so that's what he told. And I was pissed off about it, but I didn't know that he told, whether he told the good and the bad. I was just told that most coaches tell the good and the bad. And if they take the bad, and they just take the bad.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, in all reality, it's kind of like what you do now, right? It's like, for me, even with kids going to college or trying to go pro, kids call me all the time about trying to go to the CFL. Like, I've been talking to Shea Patterson, Michigan's quarterback. I've known his dad. I've known his dad and his uncle since he was a freshman, and he committed to Arizona his freshman year in high school. Mm-hmm. Right. So I've known them for a while, and I've been talking to them and things. He went to Kansas City, but he already got released because of training camp stuff. And, they want with limited training camp, they wanted an older backup for Pat. Mm. But, it's one of those things. It's like character does play a big part, because what if I do have a kid that comes in here that I really need to get on a squad that's really talented? Mm-hmm. But then the past 2 or 3 people I've sent there, they're like, dude, I'm not listening to this dude anymore. Mm-hmm. It sucks to think back to it, but it's probably better to kind of just think like, you know what? It's a great story to tell others and to tell those kids, like, my record, and I'm getting better as a person. Right. But the same thing that held you back to make you go to 18 or 19 different police stations to try to get in is the same thing that kept you out of the NFL. And I mean, it sucks, but I think it's a great teaching moment for kids to let them know how the perspective. Like talent gives you more opportunities, But you know, if you're super talented, like you're super fast, you get a lot of opportunities. Right. And that's what I want to talk about next is, you know, the opportunity to come to Canada and just getting to Canada. Like, what did you think? And like, have you ever watched the CFL before you got here? What was the thought process in going?
I saw the CFL on TV like 1 or 2 times. I saw Montreal because I was in Detroit. So they must have been at home or somewhere playing Toronto, but I saw them playing Toronto, and they must have been in Toronto. So that was close to where I was from. So I did see 1 or 2 of them games a couple times, but I never thought about it. You know, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. I was like, damn, it's football. And they said it was Montreal, LOS. And that was that. So when I got to colleges and all that stuff, I never thought about none of that stuff. And then when after college, when I didn't go because whatever happened, I did end up going as a free agent to the Raiders. So I went out. They picked me up around like October, and they was like, "Well, we'll try to bring you back and get you in NFL Europe." And I said, "Okay, perfect." And then NFL, but when the next year came around, because you remember I went to the indoor football league and all that arena stuff and all that crap. So I did good over there. So when I finally did come back around, because I did real good in that arena stuff. When I came back around, I was like, well, they were talking about CFL. I'm like, yeah, I go to the CFL. I rather do that than go to NFL Europe. And then, so I go right before the CFL started, like, yo, we want to send you to NFL Europe. And then the whole, if you remember, the coaching staff, I got fired from the Oakland Raiders. And then the next year after, NFL Europe got canceled.
Yeah.
And then, so I was like, well, in that case, I was staying in the CFL stuff. So, and then I came up there. They brought me up there. When they brought me up there, I was happy because it was football and it was professional football, and I just wanted to play because there's some stories that y'all don't know. But anyway, so I get up there and I do, and I go run my 40 in Dickinson and Burke, and they like, oh, well, the first person who came up to me was this tall, skinny guy with some blonde hair and was like, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm from Detroit. And he's like, duh. He's like, I never seen nobody run that fast in my life. And I'm like, thank you, sir, thank you. And I don't know who he is. Kind of find out he's Ted Heller. He's a super dango millionaire. So I didn't know that. But I was like, so then from that day forward, me and Ted was like super, super cool. He gave me his number. We always talk. And then Jim Baker. Then we ended up
Barker.
Yeah. So then we ended up being real cool because he was there as well. And they just looked like this guy can fly. So from that, and then I was up there, and I started liking it from there because people told me as I left, like, yo, that's the owner of the team, blah, blah, that's the general manager. So I'm like, oh, shit, he just gave me his number. So I'm like, well, cool. So from that point,
I'm in.
So from that point, I'm loving it. I'm like, well, CFL is my spot. You know what I'm saying? So I came up there, and then in training camp, it was football, and I started seeing people. I'm saying, wait a minute, that's the kid from Kansas State that was returning all them punts and kicks. What was his name? Number 32.
David Allen.
David Allen. I'm like, that's David Allen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know him. You know what I'm saying? I remember his name. So you start seeing stuff. You're like, well, they up here. And I thought it was a whole new world. I said, this is a whole new world. You know what I'm saying? This is another level of football. Cool. And so then the competition started kicking up. You know what I'm saying? And then when I saw the competition kick up, I just knew that it was professional football. And I didn't think of it no different than the NFL. I was like, oh yeah, this is football. And then I started trying to be the best I can be, earning spots, taking spots, scrapping my way to where I needed to be at. And then, I end up, one time I won $500 from Cedric Williams. He wanted to see who get the most interceptions during training camp, up into that mock game. And I destroyed him. I beat him by like 5 or 6 interceptions.
Why don't you tell him how to stay on sides, on the backside of an onside kick?
I'm going to tell him after he get out of jail.
Are you in jail right now?
Man, he been in jail for a while. He kept, ever since he left in like 07, 08, he been going back and forth to jail. He been in there for a while. So always somehow find a way to write me on Facebook, but I don't respond back because I can't be getting in trouble. Yeah. So I don't know what he want. He asked for money one time, all type of stuff. I don't know.
Man, that's crazy.
But so I just started trying
his ass on side.
Yeah, he would have been straight. He probably still been in the CFL. You know what I'm saying? So I just started competing, and I had the opportunity to go against some of the better receivers in the league that just on my team, like you and Copeland and Rambo, and we had like the best lineup. I still believe that lineup was like one of the coldest lineups in the CFL history. Yeah. And y'all was all on the same squad. You know what I'm saying? And Rambo wasn't even good like that then. You know what I'm saying? He was good, but he wasn't like he wasn't the one. It was like you and Copeland. So just imagine our number 3 receiver was better than people was number ones, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we had a squad, you know what I'm saying? Like, you, Copeland, Rambo, Ralph, Elijah Thurman, like, we have some beasts. So I was going to get started every day working on different people doing this and that, and some people had moves, some people had speed, some people had hands, and I was just trying to get better, and I liked it a whole lot. I liked it so much that when the end of 2006 came, Ted Heller we were trying to work on a contract, and I was supposed to be trying to go to the Buffalo Bills. And they said, if you stay here a year, we'll make sure you get to Buffalo the next year. But just give us another year. And this is before I got hurt. This is 2 weeks before I got hurt. And I was like, okay. And they gave me a signing bonus. They gave me a bigger contract and all that stuff. And then I stayed. I turned down the NFL to stay in the CFL. And then I ended up getting hurt. First round playoff game against Saskatchewan. But when 2007 came, I got to play a few games and stuff like that, only because he wanted me to have some film. People didn't know that. People thought I came back, got that 9-game IR because I wanted to. I had already proved what I could do, and I knew I was good. And then so I came back and I played a few games because I wanted to, and I was trying to get film. But I played some other games just for an ego tip. Like, I'm about to play. I'm better than these guys.
Before you get in 2007.
Oh, yeah.
Before you get in 2007. Slow down just a little bit. Well, we're going to speed up to bring it back.
Right.
But, Ted and them sit me down too. Ted and Barker. They said 12 NFL teams want you. Barker's like Tom Brady's age is my good friend. I've already talked to him. He said he'll take you on. We'll help you figure out the best spot for you to go going into 2006. Right. I was number 2 receiver in 2005, going into 2006. Right. And it was like, but we'll give you this much money to stay. It was, I think I ended up making almost $120,000 more than I made the year before. Right. So then it was just like, yeah, I'll stay. Right. So I understand that. And they were great with that. Right. It's trying as far as helping you get back. And even David Allen, they told him, like, come up here, Terrence Wilkins, come up here. Once you play, if the NFL calls, we'll let you go. Right. Was you there when Oz Hakeem came? Yeah. For like 2 weeks. He was there for like 2 weeks, and then he went back to the NFL. But yeah, man. But let's go to this real quick. In 2008, still to this day, one of the most impressive things I've ever seen was you coming off of not playing that season for the Western Final in the Grey Cup, guarding G. Simon, 90% man, and then Ben Cahoon, 90% man. Two first ballot Hall of Famers, certified great players, both over 1,000 catches, both over 10,000 yards, both over 13,000 yards. Like, when you look at that and you see what these dudes have done, and now we go back to 2006, you had your injury, and then going into 2007. Can you just walk us through, like, the process of 2007, the process of 2008, and how we got to the Western Final of 2008, or how we got to the Western Final in 2008?
Yep. So the end of 2006, I got the injury, the dislocated kneecap.
Yeah.
The doctors at the Stampeders told me that it was okay. It was a bursting sack, so it was like a bone bruise. Let me heal up and I'll be straight. 2007, so I take the whole off season. Cool. I'm gonna rest up as much as I can, then start training. 2007 came and I came back. During training camp, I'm doing real good them first like 2 days of training camp. Nothing happened. It was a rainy day. That third day was a tour day. It was a rainy day. I remember like it was yesterday. And then I go home. I go back to the crib. I go to sleep, and I wake up on my knee the size of like a cantaloupe, watermelons. I'm like, what the heck? So I went back up there, and I was like, dog, I don't know what happened. Nothing happened. My knee's like this. They get to surgery and come to find out a piece of my patella was broke off and stuck in my meniscus. They didn't see that, or they didn't tell me, or something didn't happen in their training facility, them doctors. So now I go on 9-game IR. 9-game IR, I start trying to, they was telling me, I thought I was done for the season. They started telling me, like, you can come back, blah, blah. So when they said I can come back, and they kept saying, like, because even if you come back, you're buried in such and such, like, you can still, as long as you're 80%, you're buried in a lot of people this, your speed is just here. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I don't know if they was truthful or not, or they just wanted me to start working harder, but I started working harder. I started working 2 days. If y'all remember, I was coming 2 or 3 times a day doing all that stuff. I was trying to get myself together. So the 9-game thing is over, and I go back and I start playing. So I started playing. I played a few games, and then that's when the calls start coming back in. Like, hey, if you're trying to go to the NFL, you don't want to get hurt again. You might want to, sit around, and all this crap. Okay, cool. So they took me off, not because I wanted to. I was only supposed to play 3 games. I ended up playing 6 or 7, and they kept saying like no. So at one point, what happened? The straw that broke the camel's back was Cedric Williams again. We was going to get Saskatchewan. It was a home game, and I was starting over him. Everything. If you ever see me walk, I walk on my toes anyway.
Yeah.
Everything I do, he's right there next to the coaches saying that, oh, JR's limping, JR's hurt. Hey, don't let him see you hurting, just yelling and saying negative stuff to make the coaches think that I'm hurt or something. So at one point, DJ Flick, I think, caught a pass, and I missed the tackle, and Trey hit him, and he fumbled. And we still recovered it, I think. But after that play, they called me to the side, and I was like, hey, Jim Barker came down, or wherever he was at. He said, hey, you're done. And I said, I'm done for what? Like this, and to be perfectly honest on my mom, this was the best I had been feeling out of all the other 5 or 6 games. So I didn't know why they was taking me out. And I was feeling good. I was out there going. I returned a couple of kicks. I was straight. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to roll. They took me out. I never played again. And after that game, I caught Cedric in the locker room, or going to the locker room outside of it or something. And I was about to destroy him. And they stopped me. And then it was like, yeah, you're done. You got other stuff to worry about. You know what I'm saying? Like, some teams still contact you. Buffalo still wants you, blah, blah, blah. So after 2007, so after I was stopped playing for the rest of them games, because then Cedric went off sides and Saskatchewan, all that crap.
Yeah.
So I'm working out harder. I started gaining weight, trying to get an NFL body so I can pass the look test. And then I go to Buffalo, the Buffalo Bills, January of 2008 now. Yeah, so I go to Buffalo Bills, and I did good. I ran a 4.3. I do all my stuff good, but they said I was limping when I ran it. First of all, they said they expect me to run a 4.2, and then they said I must not be fully recovered because I was limping when I ran. And I said, well, I always run with a limp. You know what I'm saying? I walk like this. Like this is the thing. And people always looked at that. So they was like, well, you finish this stuff up and get everything straight, and then we'll try to see if we can figure something out for you. Bring you in and do practice squad or something like that. And I said, I'm not playing practice squad. I said, I can go be a starter in the CFL and get the practice squad money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it was like, well, you might want to do that if you're not, because you're not healthy. And I said, well, I am healthy. Like, who else ran a 4.3 here? Like Intra Boulay? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, the Jets kept him, and I, you know what I'm saying? He ran like 4.5 or something, 4.4 or something. So I'm like, so I was kind of pissed off. So I said, you know what? I'm going back to the CFL. I go back to the CFL. So now we got a new coaching staff. Yeah. So 2 days before training camp. Now I'm up there now. I come back out there early. I had to have a surgery. So I did go get looked at like they said. I had a surgery another surgery on my left knee. My friend Larry Foote and them hooked me up with a doctor from the Detroit Lions. So Dr. Shapiro and all them. They started looking at my x-rays and said that my CFL doctors had either lied to me or didn't know what they were doing. They said this piece was broken off from this first DVD and it was sticking right here, and we see it right here. We don't know why they didn't tell you this. This is where you probably heard about this later on in life when they was talking about I was trying to sue the CFL and all this crap. So this is why. They lied to me, or they didn't see it and told me that none of the stuff was wrong. But when I showed the DVD to them doctors up there in Detroit, they was like, what are they doing in Canada? Like, we see this clear in this first DVD that something's going on right here and right here. Why didn't they tell you that? That's a malpractice. Yeah. They lied to you. So I told Barker and Ted that, what the deal was. But I owed it to them not to sue them or not to do nothing or none. So I said, you know what? I don't even worry about it. I just want to play. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where it's kind of stopped at. Like, okay, I just want to play. I don't care about all that. I know they want
Remember, there was a lot of stuff going on off the field. Like, you were trying to practice. They didn't want you to practice.
Yeah.
You were trying to run. They didn't want you to run. And there was this I'm healthy, but you're not healthy.
Yeah, it was a bunch of like lies they were doing, trying to protect themselves and make it so that it was, like I said, I got screwed over big time up there. And like I say, it's unfortunate, but you trust people. My dad told me a long time ago, and you probably heard it. You don't never expect nobody to do what you would do. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna always be hurt. And that was the problem. I thought that they was gonna always have my back and respect me because of the stuff I did for them. I turned on the NFL twice to stay there with them, even though it was practice squad, or they were just trying to bring me in for workouts, I still said no and came to the CFL and did this. I didn't do a grievance like everybody think I did. I didn't file a grievance. That's not how I was getting money. That's something different. So I didn't file a grievance. But anyway, I was a man of my word. I said, I'm not going to sue you. I'm not going to do none of this, blah, 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 try to get nothing. Because my auntie wanted me to do that real bad, and I didn't do it. So anyway, 2007 is over. 2008 comes. They keep me all the way up until the new coaching staff comes in. Now we got Huffin and all them. They don't know me like that. They don't care about me. So when they come in, 2 days before training camp, they cut me. It was like, well, you know, because your injury, you just had an injury and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, we're not going to keep you on. I'm like, ain't this about it? So I'm like, okay, cool. They said, well, recover, you know, and you know, best of luck, basically. I talked to Barker and Ted and was like, well, no, you keep going and then just keep rehabbing. And when October come, we'll have you come out and do another workout. Just be ready to kill it, you know, because they want to see you at your best.
Yeah.
And I said, fair enough. So, I get that little payment, whatever money they want to give me, like a sign-in bonus or something like that. But I was off the team, or suspended, or whatever they want to call it, however they want to call me, on some whatever I was. So I was going up to the field. You see, I was still up there almost every day because afterwards I was doing my workouts on the field. So they saw me every day working on my track stuff, working on my stuff, even though all y'all was going to have to go like 2 or 3 hours after y'all left. So I'd be up there probably like 4 or 5, and they'd still be there. So they let me in and let me do my stuff, and I go on the field and just kill workouts, stadiums, all type of stuff. So they knew I was getting more and more ready. So by the time October came, I was already running the 4.3 again. You know what I'm saying? After these three surgeries, I was already running 4.3. I was rolling. And then I went out there and I killed the people they had me go against in one-on-ones. And then Huff nigga said, dang, where was this guy at all season? Like, we should have been had him out here. Like, you know, and he had slipped up. He said something like, we should have been had him on the field and stop hiding him in the, whatever he said, hiding him in the doghouse, whatever he was saying. Like, we should have, you know, I was like, you know, so I thought it was cool. I'm like, okay, Huff nigga, he might like me then, you know, because I just destroyed these little receivers he put up in front of me. So then they had me practice a few times. Now, they wanted me to play that very first week I came back. And I think that they thought it wasn't fair to, like, Calvin Bannister and Julian Battle and some of them, and Keon Raymond, because remember, them was my back. Like, they probably got good and stuff, but they were my backups at a time.
Yeah.
So I guess
Keon was actually backing up. Keon did play DB at first. He played DB at first, and then he moved to Sam because he's behind Brandon Isaac and Shannon James.
Yeah, but when I was there,
when he first got there, he was a DB.
Yeah, when he first got there, he was playing halfback and corner, and so and he was behind us. So Brandon Smith was so they was moving all these guys around up there, and so they wanted me to play them, but they was like, well, it'd be fair to Calvin or, you know, Keon and all that stuff. They called me in the office. I talked to him. I was like, okay. I said, that's fine with me. Let me keep getting my reps in. Let me play receiver, though, on the scout team so I can just work on my running because I want to work on my win. That's how I work my win out. Because at first, they didn't want me to play receiver. They wanted me to just focus on DB and watch what they was doing. But then they brought in a guy named Lenny Walls, who happened to be pretty good.
Streets.
So when they brought him in, they was like, oh, well, now we don't really have to rush JR back because we have somebody. But what people don't know is even if Lenny would have stayed healthy, when the playoffs started, it was going to have me go over and play Brandon Smith's spot. I was going to play where Brandon Smith was at, and Brandon Smith was going to either back up or something, or you know, however that was going to work. That was the plan. But then Lenny got hurt, and it was like, yo,
Day 3.
So they're like, yo, you go and play the boundary halfback on the side of Brandon Browner. Can you get it? And I'm like, heck yeah. They're like, we know you like man-to-man. That's what we're going to have you doing.
Did you practice that day 3?
Yeah.
That was the first time that you would practice in the defense.
Yeah, that was the first time.
And it was – okay, so just so everybody knows, we break down our weeks in day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4 is a walkthrough. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, day 5 is the game. If we have any longer weeks, it's day A's, B's, and C's and stuff like that. But so imagine you haven't played a game since, you know, 2007.
Yeah.
You've had surgeries.
Yeah.
You've grinded the whole time, the whole off season, everything, rehab, workout. I remember you couldn't even, like, your knee kept swelling up and you kept having to go get work done. Yeah. But day 3, we do a no huddle drill and it's live. I mean, there's no tackling or anything, but it's like, if we throw a pick on the first play, it's over. We throw a touchdown on the first play, it's over. So it's the only thing that we do that's not scripted.
Right.
The only thing we do that's not scripted all week. and we made a good drive on offense. And I enjoyed that time because, one, Jones was the matchup defense. It was like basketball. It was 5-on-5, 90% man. We're going to blitz a lot. And Brandon Browner used to guard me every day at practice because I was the bigger physical receiver, and that's what he had to get used to. And we used to go at it. He used to grab my face mask all the time. I thought we was going to fight a couple times. But ball thrown to the back of the end zones. I don't remember if it was the Cope or what, but Lenny and Cope go up, or Lenny and Ram go up, whoever it was, and Lenny comes down and messes his ankle up. They had to bring the card out for him. And can you imagine? I mean, just for me on offense, I'm thinking, like, what are we going to do? Because you think CFL football, the boundary's not a very big place, right? But you got 6'4" Lenny Walls at boundary halfback. You got 6'3" Brandon Browner at boundary corner. Like, you can do whatever you want over there. It's tall trees everywhere over there, right?
That was it.
And Dwayne Carpenter, I think, was playing Will linebacker at the time. Right? So, and he's a DB. He's a natural DB, natural safety.
DB,
Right? So you were able to move him around, do so much in zone over there when we did go zone and do some things. But then when Lenny goes down, I'm thinking, like, what are we going to do? What's going through your mind? They're like, JR, get in there. You become the boundary halfback. You're starting boundary halfback. You get in day 3 practice, it's only 16 plays after the live session. So there's not a lot of reps.
Right. And I didn't get the reps. And I'm going to tell you why. Think about this real quick. Let me see if I can refresh your memory. When he first got hurt, they put Calvin Bannister over there. And Calvin Bannister played most of them reps. And I guess the phone call has to go to the higher ups and say somebody got hurt.
Yeah.
Barker and Ted come storming down there, and they're like, Lenny's hurt. And they're like, well, what you guys are doing? Coach Jones, Barker, Huffnagel, and Ted is in the corner arguing. And then they come out there argument. Ted and Barker goes, remember what they said at like 20-yard line. They go stand there. Jones, Huffnagel jaws to the middle of the field. Jones jaws past me and said, Ruffin, get in there. And I said, huh? And he's like, yeah, you out there. Go play. You at boundary half. And I'm like, okay. I run back past there. And Ted yells out to me, JR. And I look over there, and he was like, I told you I had you. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I just keep running. I give him a thumbs up, and I keep running out there. And I guess he told them that I was the better talent than all the other people they had. They had Julian Battle. They had Keon. They had Calvin Bannister. I don't know who else they could have put over there. They could have switched some other stuff around, I guess. But he told them that to put me out there.
Smitty was playing field half at the time.
He was playing field at the time.
Yeah.
So, and then it was like, yeah, JR can do it. JR is the one. If you want man-to-man, he told them, if you want a man-to-man or something like that, you seen what JR can do when he did his workout. Like, he's ready to do it. Let him do it. And they put me out there. And that's what happened. I'm like, shit, okay. Because in my head, it wasn't fair to Keon and Calvin Bannister that I didn't play. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And they'd tell you that because I said that. I said, no. They can play if they want to play. I like to suit up. If they start messing up, put me in. And they said, nah. You know what I'm saying? Jones was like, nah. He told me. He said, they love you. He was like, go on out there. He'd tell you that. He was like, they love you. He was like, they love you, dog. And I was like, okay. And I went out there and I played. And I was nervous as shit because I'm like, oh, well, you put me over here in boundary. And then I'm like, because the way Coach Jones played it, it was matchups, but it was man-to-man. But it was like if you go halfway over, then it turns into a zone and you come back. I wasn't used to that stuff. Yeah. I never played that before ever in life. I was just used to the man-to-man. And he said, just play man, Ruffin. He's like, just play. And I was like, okay, cool.
And you followed G-Roy all over the field.
I just followed G-Roy all over the field. Wherever he went, I try to follow this fool.
G-Roy is like, if you put Ruff on me tomorrow, I'm killing it. So he said the night before.
Right.
I said, man, I don't know. I said he hungry. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. There's different types. Like, yeah, we can walk through the jungle if all the lines just ate.
Right.
But if they ain't just ate, we can't walk through that.
Yeah, you ain't walking through that.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everything that you have been through. And then to start that game, we beat BC. Now we're going to Montreal to play Montreal in Montreal. First time in our Grey Cup. You know, we've been through the struggles the years before. Everything that you've been through. To get to that Grey Cup game, you guard Ben Cahoon. I don't even think Ben had like a great game. I know he had a couple catches, but
he had an okay game.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. Yeah, he had a couple catches, but like you said, it was running through everybody and trying to mix you up. So that's all he could really do. I wasn't even supposed to guard him. They wanted me to guard one of the taller guys, like S.J. Green, or one of them guys, you know, because I was taller.
Yeah.
And then I told Coach Jones, I was like, who you think gonna have no, it was Coach Chamberlain at this time. I said, who you think gonna probably, you know, who do you think they're gonna try to get the ball to the most though? Who gonna be the, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, I actually think Ben Cahoon. And I was like, well, I'll check him then. I was like, if you want me to check him, I'll check him. I said, he gonna start off in the boundary anyway. I was like, so if that's the one you think gonna get the most stuff, I'll check him. Coach Chamberlain was like, if you check Ben Calhoun, I think you're gonna probably get the MVP of the game. He said, because you're gonna make some plays on it. And he'll tell you that too. He told me too in the room. He was like, they said who's gonna get MVP. He was like, I picked you. Was probably gonna get it because he thought that you know, I probably would have had some picks or some stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went against him just like I went against G-Roy. It was, you know, it was still, I was a veteran now, so I knew that they were good. So it wasn't no more cocky JR like, oh, they run 4-6, I run a 4-2.
They not good. Matter. They great.
It was great, right? So I didn't
great.
have that in. So at this point, that wasn't in my head. Now it was in my head was, dang, I drew these two like a damn bitch. You know what I'm saying? That's
like going all in and you got a pair of twos.
I'm telling you. And then I don't even if it, well, you don't know, you didn't play defense, but I didn't like watching film. I used to watch. I know, man. I didn't like watching film, so I would just watch like a series of them. I just wanted to see how they run routes. Yeah. I was like, yo, let me get some film. Let me just see how they run routes, because that's all I cared about was if I could see how they run routes. Whenever he's going deep, he's standing up. Whenever he's going to do a short route, he runs more low to the ground to give him more so he can stop quicker. So that's all I cared about. Only person who didn't do that was Arlen Bruce. Like this stiff fucker ran the same way all the time. But it was hard to check him. Yeah, but everybody else, that's all I cared about. But for them 2 games, man, when I talk about me and Calvin used to sit there and watch film all day trying to figure out what G-Ray did, when he did this or what he did that. Same thing with Calhoun. I watched more film those 2 games than I probably did my whole career playing football.
Man, I tell you what, when the game was over and it hit 0, you remember the feeling? Like what's the emotion in the feeling? Because I know what I feel like. Right, because I've always said it's like when you win a championship, it just validates all the trouble, all the pain, all the no's, everything that you went through that prepared you for that day for that to be that, for you to win that championship.
Yeah, I couldn't even cry after the game. I was so happy, and when I finally got back to my room, because I didn't go out. Everybody went out and partied. I didn't. I went back to my room. Me and Calvin, we didn't even go out. We just went back to the room, watch movies, and chill.
I was in the lobby with Dave Dickinson.
Yeah, my tears were just going out my eyes. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, duh, I finally won a championship. I didn't get to the championship other than high school, because I won in high school state champion for 10th grade year. But other than that, I made it to bowl games in junior college, always lost. I made it to, like track and field championships. I can have the fastest time. And then in the championship round, like right when I get to the finals, I mess around and come 6th for some reason. Like, so all the stuff that was happening with me getting there and not getting there, to me, it came full circle. It's like I won. And I remember I was just sitting there talking I think I was talking to my auntie, the same auntie who told me, she died now, but at this point, she had told me years before that, like, I told you to get life insurance policies on your knees, like Tina Turner. She got $1 million on each leg. She told me that before I ever got hurt. I never did it, but I was talking to her, and she was like, "You finally did it. I knew you was gonna make it. I knew you was gonna make it." Tears was going out my face, like you said, it came full circle. Full circle. Finally won a championship at a high level, and I was playing in it. You know what I'm saying? I laid the team in tackles that game. Like you know what I'm saying? I walked down the guy who was about to probably break a 80-yard touchdown at one point. And I caught this fool on a hurt leg. Like, it just came to me. I'm like, dang. You know what I'm saying? We won some stuff, and I was a part of it. I helped do it. So that was good for me.
I just think that's one of the greatest feats ever, man. Out of everything that I've seen in my 26 years of football, to step up in pressure situations and playoff football, to not even play a regular season game that year, to come out and play 2 games against 2 Hall of Famers. First ballot Hall of Famers. Yeah. 2 of the greatest receivers ever played the game.
Yeah.
And played 90% man. Didn't give up a touchdown.
Didn't give up nothing. So that was good. It was nerve-wracking, though, like I say, because you heard them talking all day.
Yeah.
They was talking, especially G-Word. G-Word was talking. And just to get the win, it was good for me. I was like, heck yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Then you end up getting
like
another one in 2011.
Yep. On his team that time.
Yeah.
Yep.
After
That
2
was-
years off, you didn't play 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
You come back 2011.
Right. Yep. You know what happened? I had did the football camp in BC with Rick Keller.
Yep.
And Mark Washington was there. And the kids were talking about running and racing and doing something. So I took off and I raced somebody and I beat him by a lot. It wasn't my fastest, but it was faster than people probably thought I was gonna run. And he was like, "Man, you can still run?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm still running." He was like, "Can you still read?" Because I had a brace on my leg. He said, "You still rehab?" And I'm saying, "Yeah." He said, if you get back healthy, we'll bring you out to BC. And he was like, we were supposed to trade for you in 07. They didn't trade for you. And I was like, "Yeah, I know." And he said, "You get healthy, you can come back out to BC and play for me." And I was like, "All right, I'm gonna hold you to it." He was like, "Okay, cool." I started training that day. As soon as I left Kelowna, I started training back on my speed and ready to go again. And then they got me back out there they took me to a workout. I did a workout in Vegas. My friend Trey Young had played for a team in Vegas. Yep. And he got me for a workout in Vegas. I went to the workout in Vegas. They had a guy named Roy Shivers. He was the scout for BC. He was out there and watched me. And he called Wally and was like, "Dawg, he out here making these guys look like kids." I did real good for my workout. I didn't run a fast 40 because it started hailing ice balls down. So I ran like a 4.5 or something like that. But when the one-on-ones came, it got back sunny. And I was like destroying these boys. And he said, "Don't sign out here." He said, "We got you in BC." And I said, "For real?" He was like, "Yeah." And, he said some other stuff. He was like, "Just trust me." I got a phone call later on that day from Wiley saying, like, "We're going to bring you out here." They have their own private workouts. So they have a private workout out there. I think it was in April or whenever it was. It was a private workout of their own that they always give, that they only give for, like, people out there and stuff like that. So it was a few of us out there. Me, Jock, what was Jock's last name?
Chapter Lane.
The little black running back guy? Was this Jock Smith?
No.
Jock White?
Jock Sanders.
Yeah, so it was me, Jock Sanders, a couple other people out there. Paris came out there to watch. Sanchez came out there to watch. And me and Jock went out there and he had a good day on offense. I ran like a 4.32 or something like that with them guys. And they was like, "Don't run no more." And I was like, I was only working on my speed. They brought me out there for that workout. Jock was doing good on offense. I was doing good on defense. I picked up probably like 3 or 4 passes, luckily. I always say luckily because I know I don't be catching that good. And I picked them muds off and broke up everything. The only person caught something on me, Jock caught like one bomb on me, and we both failed. And then that's when I kind of twisted my ankle. So I was like, I'm done for the day. And then they ended up bringing me up. They signed me. They wanted me to come up to the camp. Day before training camp, they called the Stampeders, I guess. And that trainer ended up calling me back. And he said, "Hey, we talked to the training staff from the Stampeders, and I trust those guys. They didn't think your knee was going to hold up. They thought that you would be good for a couple of days, but then your knee was going to swell up and blah, blah, blah. So we can't take you here. We can't pass you on the physical." And I'm like, "What?" So I tried to call Pat Clayton. He never answered the phone. I was pissed off. And I left it alone. I said, that, it's bull crap, but it's okay. So later on that season, they had a bunch of injuries to their secondary. And then their final blow was Stanley Franks got hurt.
Yep.
Stanley Franks got hurt against the Stampeders.
Yep. I remember when he got hurt. Rambo caught a post route on him.
Yep. So he got hurt and tore his knee up. And when he tore his knee up, they needed more DBs. So they put these 2 DBs up there. I forgot one of them name, but they put them 2 in there, and they got killed the next week. And when they got killed, they brought in me. They called in Jerome Dennis, me, and Tad Cornegate. Jerome came first. I came second. Tad came after that. They brought me up there. I played like 2 games up there. I ended up finishing the whole season, but I played 2 games. I did pretty good, but of course, my knee started swelling up. I needed to get it drained and stuff, but I was still ready to go. But some behind-the-scenes stuff that people don't know, I don't even know if I should talk about it, but some behind-the-scenes stuff that people don't know is that when I got there, Hall of Fame career too, by the way, they were going to cut Ryan Phillips. They was gonna keep me in his spot had I been healthy, and they was gonna get rid of him. He had an injury to his leg as well, but he never got surgery, or they didn't know if it was real or not. They was gonna cut him, and they even asked Corey Banks, and if you ever talk to him, he'd tell you they was worried because they were saying he was pretty soft, like tackle stuff, blah blah blah. they were saying little stuff, and I'm like, well, shoot, I know I'm better than them. I can play. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I don't need to be in a position to get an interception. You know, if I go get one or I go knock it down, you know, we was talking smack. And it was like, well, yeah, cause, you know, Brian probably ain't gonna finish the season here. And I'm like, well, here, you know, I can do it. I can play that spot. I don't mind playing that spot. It's like, we're gonna move Corey Banks back to halfback. We're gonna put another guy at the Sam, because at that point Corey was at Sam back.
Yeah.
They said we're gonna put Corey back at half. We're gonna put this guy Reddick at Sam, and we're gonna leave you at the field. And then, you know, you will be a field with this other guy, and he gonna be over there. So I'm like, cool, I do that. So that's how the lineup went. That they ended up cutting the other guy. I forgot who he was. They ended up cutting him, and I ended up playing field. And they put Ryan Phillips
there. Yeah.
No, they moved Sanchez to safety.
Yeah.
They put Ryan Phillips at boundary at field corner. And you know he ain't no field corner. He's better than the field corner, but he wasn't doing good, I guess. You know what I'm saying? And you know, all the picks that he be having, you know, they were saying that, you know, most of the picks was coming to him, tipped up, coming to him. It wasn't like he was going to snatch them out like that, like D'ing nobody up. A lot of passes was whatever. So I didn't really care what they were saying. I'm just like, you can give me whatever baloney you want to tell me about him. If you want me to play in this spot, just put me there. I'm playing. So they put me there, and then he's over there and all that stuff. Then, of course, you know, he ended up switched back lately because I got hurt. They put Tad in my spot, and they put me at the field corner because I was better than Jerome Dennis and a couple of them guys. And then that one game I got hurt, and they took me out of there. And I had to get surgery on both my knees, and I broke my arm that same game against Edmonton. Yeah. So it was unfortunate, but I still stayed on the team good enough. And Wally Bronu told me, you know, some stuff like after the season, probably my last season, they didn't owe it to me to keep me there like the Stampeders owed it to me. Yeah. He said, but Paris Jackson has the same injuries you got, and you see he's still here. He got hurt playing for us. He said, had you got hurt playing for us and with your skill set that you still have, we'd have kept you playing here too. And I appreciated that, but I knew that it was going to be short-lived. But he said, I'll keep you on the team. You know, I'm not going to cut you right before the championship. You don't get a chance to, you know, with the glory with us, and we end up winning the championship. And he kept me on there. So I appreciate him for that, because I still got a ring and stuff like that, because he easily could have cut me, like, what's that week? Like, that week before, when they can cut everybody, they still could have got rid of me. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I appreciated that. But when I got there, I gave it 100% there too. I was a starter at halfback, and I also played scout team. I played scout team receiver. So I started off being a starting DB, and then I went over there and I played scout team for our receivers, and I did that until I wasn't a starter, and because of the injuries. And when I even went with my injury before my brother was killed, I was still going out there with my broke arm, with the thing on, playing DB for them guys. You know what I'm saying? So for the scout team, just to make sure that they still had good looks. They didn't have a lot of people. They was at that time, they was working on more having defensive linemen. They wanted a bunch of D linemen to play and less DBs. That's what they were doing.
Yeah, I was talking to RP about his tackling the other day when he was on the podcast.
When
he first came in, he was hitting. And then he backed off a little bit. But I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer too. 47 picks. He's
me too.
And he's one of the smartest DBs I've ever. Him, Tat Cornegay. Man, them dudes are super smart when it comes to defense.
I got to play on the team, especially when it comes to zone. Tat is like, I even told him that. I'm like, dog, you terrible in man-to-man. I'm like, but you probably one of the best people I've seen playing zone. But the best overall zone and man-to-man, I don't think nobody was ever better than Corey Banks.
Yeah, Corey's nice.
I watched this dude. I seen him rearrange our defense. Like, every week he found the hole or found something in defense and they had to change that they didn't see. And I never saw nobody do that before. Like, he'd be in there. He never even talked during the meetings unless he cracked some dumbass joke. And he'd be sitting there looking at the stuff. And then later on, he'd just raise his hand. Okay, coach, so somebody did this, they did that. And then he was right here. Who got him? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, that's all. And I'm looking like, dog. And then so when people was arguing, because I heard Arsenal was arguing with Dante Marshall at one point. With Marshall at one point, and he said all you was a person who benefited off Corey being good. Who knows if that's true or not, but I can understand it because I was on the field with him when I was at halfback and Corey was at linebacker on my side. Before they moved Ryan out, because they had Ryan playing the boundary half at first, Ryan and Mark, and then Corey was on my side. Corey would tell you, he watches film and he knows enough. He would tell you where to go. He'd be like, yo, they got this, so you just hold the flats or go to deep, or I got this, you got that. He do that with Dante the whole time. Yeah. And I seen him. I watched him cuss Dante out all game. But they still, somebody end up, one of them get a pick, one of them do this and do that. Like, it happens. But that's the whole game. He'd be like, oh, you go back to here right here. Even if the play is totally different, he sees something, he switches the defense like Tom Brady do. And I see him do that all the time. And I was like, yeah. So if ever somebody ever argue and say that Marsh was just, he was a product of Corey Banks, I couldn't blame him for saying that. Even though Dante make his own plays and he's a beast in his own mind, but I can see why they would say that, because he even did that when I was out there. I'd be like, dog, but we got such and such. He'd be like, just go and do da da da. All right, cool. And you
Corey's
do it.
An animal, man. Corey's an
animal.
He
was. That guy's a beast.
Even when he was in Ottawa, before you got there, he was 90% man, and then he started playing zone. I think I had 180 against Corey, man to man. He was playing a lot of man to man. He was like, "You got me today." It was 2006, 5 or 6, I think 5 probably. And people always ask me like, "Who's the best person?" I went up against him. Like, I think the best DB, me personally, I think is Brandon Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I think Smitty, technical wise, guarding the best receivers on other teams 90% of the time, a lot of man-to-mans, and then things like that. Smitty just didn't have the picks and the numbers.
Yeah.
But if you look at the receivers, I mean, there was one year, 90% man, and he gave up 300-yard games in the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think Fred Stamps had 2 of them.
Right.
So then but then Corey Banks is right there. I think he's just another outstanding dude because of his talent, man. He's super talented. And people always ask me, like, I was like, look, I think Corey's talented. And I said, I had my best games against Corey, but I think I had my best preparation for the games against Corey because I knew how great I had to be. I knew I couldn't just bullshit practice. I knew I had to be great on that day because I knew who I was going up against. Right. So my preparation was maxed out to go against Corey. And I think that's why I had my best performances.
Yeah, those some good picks. I can see how you can say those too, and I wouldn't argue those because I like this me too. So I won't say that. I think I was better than both. I just got hurt. But
yeah. Well, see, that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, like, looking back on your career, how do you view it? Because it was cut short because of the injury. You won 2 Grey Cups, but it's just.
I feel like Bo Jackson. I feel like when people say my name, they be like, yeah, J.R. Ruffin, I know him, but dang, what did he do? What he was a kick, he was a fast, that's what they're gonna say. He's a kick returner, the fast guy. Because I was a blur. I was like so high in like 2 years, 06, 07, that everybody knew who I was then it started dwindling down. And because I was good. I was good. Yeah, and I think I didn't give up. I gave up 1 touchdown that whole year to Arlen Bruce in 06. And I didn't give up a 100-yard game to nobody. You know what I'm saying? That whole season. And I was good. I just think that my career was taken from me by injury and by doctors like trying to rush you back or not give you the right thing. And I think that was always sad to me. That's why I hung around so long. You know how it took me to stay away from the game? Like I was gonna keep trying to come back. I got signed by Montreal in 2013. People didn't know that. And they end up and I made the team. And then me and Jackson, Jackson from the kick returner. What's his name?
No, not Martise.
Tristan Jackson. We both went out there. We both made the team, and he turned it down because he didn't want to start off at the practice squad. And they called me the next morning and was like, "Well, your injuries." And I don't know who they talked to about that. And then they was gonna pick me up too, and I killed their workout. Ran a 4.3 there. I was doing good, and then they was just like, my knee did swell up, and if I had to go to camp the next day, I wouldn't have been able to do it because it was swollen. I was prepared to go to a clinic and get my knee drained the day that next day to make sure I could run some more. Because that's what I was doing. People didn't know that. That's what I was doing on low. I had a chiropractor doctor on like 12th Street in Calgary that before every game, even BC, I was flying back home, getting my knees drained and getting that prolotherapy done and then going back out there. So I was getting that done to prepare myself. I didn't know how to deal with not playing football. Yeah. All I knew was football playing, so I was going to do everything I could to play. So when I got hurt in 2006, it killed me because it killed me in 2008 more because I was like, damn, I wanted to be the best player, and I knew I was going to be a real good DB, and I was like, I was one of the better runs. Towards the end of that year, somebody was saying who was a better DB. Somebody said Eddie Davis, Corey Banks, and J.R. Ruffin. And I was like, these guys been there years already, and they put me in this halfback category with these guys. Yeah. So I love that. And I just knew I was good, and I went against the better receivers. And I know I'm biased, but I always say I think my receiving core as a whole was better than any receiver that you can name. I don't think nobody was better than Nick. I don't think nobody was better than Cope. I don't think nobody was better than Rambo. Like at that point, Elijah Thurman was a beast.
Yeah, he
was. I was like, I went against the best. So when they say who was the best receivers, I named them for it. I didn't see like G. Roy Simon and Tucker. They wasn't that good to me. You know what I'm saying? They end up being good, but they wasn't good when I played against them. You know what I mean? That was just that. I was gonna kill them if they went against me. That was that. Paris Jackson wasn't gonna do nothing against me. It was over. So that's what I looked at. Terrence Edwards was good in Arlen, but like as far as everybody else, I didn't see nobody else. I was like, nah, they wasn't good. So I was prepping for that. So it just hurt me like heck that I never could recover from something because Brandon Smith had tore his ACL
in 2009.
And he came back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you got somebody, y'all telling me that my injury was just this, and he got a whole ACL tear and he come back, you know what I'm saying? But I can't recover from a dislocated or whatever y'all said it was. Like that hurt me. And I didn't know, I went through a bunch of stuff trying to figure out life after that. Even when I was sick in the hospital, like I think it was stress or depression. I don't know, in 2012 when I was in the hospital for those months, but it was hard, you know what I'm saying? Like getting injured after knowing and trying your best to be the best, and you just get hurt. And that will take you out like that.
Yeah, that's shitty, you know.
Yeah,
because I seen you on a daily basis, man. You know what I'm saying? Especially when I was young, and you never drank.
Yeah, playing basketball. Oh, that's what killed me the most. I used to think that in my head about like I didn't want to blame God, but I'm like, you got people out here who smoke, drink, do drugs, go to the clubs all the time. I don't do none of this crap, and I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Y'all took my, like my career was taken away from me.
You felt like you did everything you could to be the best you could. You didn't
did everything
drink.
right.
You didn't do no drugs. You didn't do anything. You didn't go out and party. You took care of yourself.
Yep. All I did was train. That's it. That's all I did. I did 2 trains a day.
So to close this out, because I think this is very important. Everything that you've been through in your life to get you to where you are today with the mentality and the mindset you have. For the people that listen to this, that go through their own struggles or want to blame others or want to, that can't figure out a way to overcome all the hurdles. Like we've constantly talked about different obstacles, right? So the knee, the trouble in the past when you were a kid, everything has always been an obstacle for you to try to overcome. How did you get through it? And how are you able to be, just when you were talking earlier, one of the greatest cops, I think, because the mentality and what you do?
I think because I took everything as a challenge to myself and to try to be better. Like I always like, okay, well, I can't do this. I'm going to be the best this. Or I can't do this. I'm going to be the best that. And I think me trying to challenge myself that whatever I went to next, I was going to be the best. I think that helped me a lot because it just kept me competitive. And I said, you have to find something that's competitive or try to make whatever you're doing competitive. And that's what I did. They have so when I decided to become a police officer, I didn't know that they had a lot of tests and standards in the police academy and stuff to go through, right? So it reminded me of football. You got to train hard. You got to go try to be better than the next person. You got to be better than the next person. If they're better than you, then what you have to do? Now I'm gonna go figure out a way to be better than that person. And so getting through injuries, getting through all that stuff, that's what I said. I said, well, I'm gonna still be the best. I'm gonna keep it in my head that I'm the best. So if somebody said, oh, you ain't playing no more, I said, well, I can still beat you. Oh, well, you can't do this, but I can still do this. Remember I started playing rugby in 2013?
Yeah, I
made it all the way to top tier rugby level. I almost went pro in New Zealand, and then I broke my ankle, right? So I was going to continue to go try to be the best at something. And police academy came. They got a work sample test battery where you got to do a dummy drag, 2 wall jumps, 99-yard obstacle course, and a 500-yard dash. I got the overall California record for overall points with a 659. You know what I'm saying? I got the 99-yard obstacle course record with a 13.2. So no matter what I was going to do, the dummy drag record, 2.7 seconds for 30 yards, I think, 30 steps, 30 feet. And or was it 40 feet? One of them. But so I was just going to try to compete. So since I was so competitive, that's all I wanted to ever do was I was going to try to be competitive for everywhere I go, and that was going to make me successful. So anybody else who's dealing with stuff, just compete with yourself. Say, well, I'm going to be better than that. People say I can't do this, I'm going to go try and do it. People say I'm too small, I'm going to go show them. Yeah, so just keep competing. And I think that's the best thing to do, no matter what it is. Your podcast, you want to be you want to have a better podcast. Keep competing. What can I do better at this? What can I do better at that?
Keep bringing on great guests like you, brothers.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it. It's not about me. It's about you, man. It's, I tell you this. It's been awesome to sit here and listen to you talk. I hope you got a good trip down memory lane, because there's so much that you've done, man, that you should be so proud of yourself. I mean, it's something that you can definitely inspire your kids, that you can say, look, it's not a perfect path. It's not a easy way, but this is what Dad went through.
Yeah.
Right? This is where Dad is. There are obstacles in life. There are hurdles in life, but I made it. And I continue to get better, and I continue to compete with myself to be the best that I can be. And I've always said competition is the number one thing you can have in life. Yeah. You gotta, some people wilt with competition. They don't want the competition. I love it. I thrive off of it. That's what I need. I need you to be at your best so I can be at my best, right? Exactly. I want to help you be better so I can be better. And that's just the mentality, and that's the mindset. Well, we got 2 hours in, man. I appreciate you.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it, dog.
Hey, people always say, like, do people actually listen for the whole 2 hours? Well, if they're listening to this, they will. Right? when you're listening to something that's been so beneficial, from the way that your viewpoints on the law, on education, on your football career, over all the hurdles that you've been through, man, I just think it's amazing. Yeah. You know what? I'm proud to call you my friend, my brother. You know what I'm saying? It's just awesome to know that we have someone like you that's going to make a difference in so many people's lives.
Yep.
I appreciate your service, brother.
I appreciate it, Doc.
This is the Lulu Logic Podcast. Oh, wait a sec before we go. Oh, yeah. Social media. How people keep up with you on social media if they want to follow you and stuff?
I really don't. Social media is a little different one. I know on like my Facebook is Vandal Pride, and I think on my Instagram it's like 2 period maybe buddy .8. But the thing about it, I don't follow a lot of people because it is social media, and I'm a police officer, so a lot of people, they take that stuff the wrong way. So I try not to do the social media thing like that, except the friends that I already had, because too many people hack stuff and do crap. So I kind of stay away from that. But if you look up J.R. Ruffin, then one of them will pop up, and then they can search it.
What is a vandal?
That was Idaho's mascot.
I know, but what is a vandal?
Oh, the vandals used to go and terrorize. They used to go terrorize the cities back then and steal them and tear up stuff. So
you were a vandal that became a vandal.
There you go, dog.
So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did. I can't wait to re-listen to this again. I appreciate you coming on, brother. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bro. Get better. Get healthy.
I'm doing it. Stay blessed, though.
And we out.
All right, peace.